I am Sophie. Young. Popular. Talented. I am a friend, a daughter, a sister. And it might look like I've got it pretty easy. But this, all these crazy... Hello? Hello? Are you there? Hello? 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 Hello?
Who are you?
ARGs are such a fascinating form of storytelling. They don't just unfold, they grow, evolving in real time alongside the audience. That constant shift creates a unique sense of realism where fiction blends so closely with reality, it starts to feel real, like you're actually a part of the story itself, whether you're meant to be or not. What really draws me to ARGs, especially in the horror genre, is how they subvert expectations themselves. You start watching something that seems light or harmless, a quirky PS1 game with a funny looking character with some funny feet, a fake news channel with some funny noises, or some lo-fi analog aesthetic. You fucking bastard! And then suddenly, it veers into something much, and I mean much, darker. That sudden shift is where the magic really happens. It's disorientating in the best way possible. And I Am Sophie, this ARG didn't just catch my attention, it held onto it. The way it presents its story and how it adapts not just with its audience, but the world around it as well, and the way the world responded to it. There's something deeply compelling about it itself, and in this video I want to try and unpack what made me really enjoy I Am Sophie, especially. Not just as a horror experience, but also as an ARG, and the way it adapted to a shifting audience and the shifting environment around it. Viewer discretion, obviously, is advised. Now, like all stories, there needs to be a beginning. So where does this story begin? Well, this story actually begins before the first video was uploaded on the I Am Sophie YouTube channel. It actually started on Twitter and Instagram specifically. On February 5th, 2020, with posts on these two pages, the Twitter and Instagram respectively, focused on business meetings, shopping, and the trip to Greece, which we saw in the trailer, which honestly, there is nothing out of the blue here. These are just here to set up the characters of Sophie and certain other characters like Ben, for example, who is going to be our cameraman. This all just sets the stage and ensures that we get a bit immersed in these characters' worlds and we don't initially think that they're straight away, these aren't real people. They're building them up to be real people. They're giving them a paper trail that we can follow back to see a real life, or what they made us believe is a real life. But on February 13th, we get our first actual upload to the channel, titled The New Queen of YouTube Channel Trailer. And this is a great way to grab some attention. The channel trailer entirely is just Sophie showing off her wealth, which is very much like old style money version of wealth. Really old big houses, halls as they call it, private jets, expensive cars, you name it, she has it. And calling herself the Queen of YouTube is very much used to elicit some sort of reaction from the user base of YouTube themselves. It's no secret that when people ever claim themselves to be anything, people often take a problem with it. And doing it like this will instantly get people's eyes on, and it did. This title is meant to elicit a negative response from people, and yeah, look at these videos, they did it. And the biggest YouTuber that kind of got duped into covering this channel trailer and these videos into believing they're a real thing was Leon Lush.
Baby, yes!
Reacted exactly how the creators wanted him to. He played into it, analysed it, and basically spoke down upon her actions, saying that she isn't actually in touch with most of society, which the character of Sophie is not. She has so much money that money means nothing to her. But in general, this channel trailer is a textbook way and textbook execution of making a video to piss people off to get them to talk about you. There is plenty of YouTubers that I'm sure you all think about and all know who have all done this. Think anyone from basically Vine, most of them are like this, and some of the other LA-based creators. None of them are humble. None of them ever use their wealth and show it in a good way. They often just show off material things, which is exactly what Sophie's doing, showing off material things that she has and you don't. That's the extent of the channel trailer. The horror may not have started yet, but it has definitely grabbed the general audience's attention and hooked you into what does this mean, and looking at that like to dislike ratio, it definitely grabbed some sort of attention. But some questions that Sophie herself raises within the trailer are, is she happy with who she is and who she's becoming and what she's going to be, etc, etc, obviously indicating a journey of self-reflection that she is going to go on and a journey of self-discovery within these vlogs that she shall be doing. But also this logo with each letter meaning young, rich and powerful, 3 things any rich person is apparently, and it's also a triangle which can only mean one thing. But there is honestly only so much we can sort of glimmer from this channel trailer, and the channel trailer is basically the first video or the first actual vlog, a bit of it cut up and then thrown as a trailer. So we'll get into the first video now, which was released on February 20th, 2020, titled The Guide to Being Young, Rich and Powerful. First of all, great title to grab a certain audience's attention, and yes, it did work, as plenty of people made videos, beefy style commentary basically, making fun of the entire video. But this title is meant to evoke a preconception of what this character will be like. Mainly those fun people who tell you how to be rich and sell you a course on how to be rich, in which they don't tell you the way that these people got rich is by selling you a course. It's a Ponzi scheme, it's a pyramid scheme. With Sophie being a businesswoman apparently, but the only thing that we know that she's actually made is the YRP merch, which I'm sorry, this ain't gonna buy you that big house. And funnily enough, the first image we see of the house is actually a rented venue here in the UK. This is something that would immediately to me give away because I actually recognize the venue. The venue I'm pretty sure has been used in a couple TV shows and movies in the past, and looking inside the rooms later in the ARG, we see these rooms on a website as well, which I'll put here. It kind of breaks the sort of immersion of it, but it's fine and it's still a cool sort of setting for the ARG to take place in. This entire first vlog is just her showing off her items and things that people want. She has friends, nice houses, or so she says, expensive cars, private jets, everything I'm sure people who, if they had the money, they would happily buy them, but a lot of people can't. But Sophie asks the question if she's happy with who she is, and the entire video is a great way to start the ARG, as it helps to grab your attention for all the wrong reasons. It's an easy way to grab a certain group of people's attention by flexing luxury items, and as I stated, it definitely worked. Now let's bring our attention to the 2 authors she names in the library.
Cicero and Homery.
Cicero and Homery. Cicero is a famous Roman philosopher, with his main thing being his political writing and also the loss of his daughter due to illness. But also, while Cicero was wealthy, he did not belong to the patrician class of the Roman elite, which is the top elite, the aristocracy. He was actually the one class below that. He was the equestrian class, which is to say that they were below the top class. And Homery, or Homer, is a Greek philosopher who wrote the Odyssey, which is a poem with themes of homecoming, perseverance, fate, and the trials of human existence. Some interesting writers to basically highlight here, which her dad seems to be reading. Now Sophie continues showing their bits and bobs while being rather ungrateful, finding issues with every single item she talks about. But we do get a photo of Sophie's dad and he looks pretty normal, he doesn't look strange or anything, but she makes a comment about how her dad made his money.
He literally grew $1 million empire from nothing, like literally nothing. I don't know how he did it.
He built an empire that his family would obviously benefit from nothing. Meaning that Sophie's father potentially came from a lower class. He built up a company from the ground up, from nowhere. He isn't from old money, he made his money. Akin to Cicero. Cicero did not come from old money, he basically made it. So it's kind of linking to the idea that Sophie doesn't belong really anywhere. It's often said that people who do this, who come from working class backgrounds and build their way up and get into the upper elite levels of wealth, they often feel completely out of place no matter where they are. If they hang around super rich people who have always been rich, they don't feel comfortable around them because then people don't understand what they did to get there. While if they go back to the class they came from, like working class or middle class or lower class, for example, then people, they have such different problems now to them that they can't relate to them anymore. But they do recognize where they are, but they're not there anymore, so they can't really relate to anyone. and they're in a weird grey area, which is a reason why a lot of people who could come from working class backgrounds who make a shit ton of money then state that you don't gain happiness from money. It's because your life doesn't really change. Like, yeah, you're less stressed, but nothing really changes. If anything, you lose a lot of them connections to people in them areas. And her mum is a model and apparently
is fit, like she is literally on fire.
With our cameraman agreeing with that statement.
Pervert.
Now, moving along from the scene in the plane to now a gym, we meet a boxing trainer, Lewis, a proper scouser.
Okay, so I've been a boxing trainer now for about 2 years.
A boxing trainer? And they talk about basic boxing stuff. And it's clear that Sophie here doesn't quite respect the sport of boxing, wanting to look good doing it and not actually do it properly. Kind of like how a lot of other influencers do it. They post all these nice flashy videos, but they're actually not that good at certain things. Not pointing fingers, but it happens a lot. Deception is very easy to do when you can stage everything. So keep that in mind. Now, when Lewis states some obvious information, Sophie turns to the camera and basically just regurgitates the same information she just learnt herself, trying to act a bit more informed, but she isn't. It's almost as if she just wants to seem like she is knowledgeable and she understands what's happening, but she doesn't really care about it. Again, you can relate that to a lot of other online personalities who don't truly care about things they do, they just want to look good doing it. And their session of course ends with Sophie taking photos of Lewis training by himself. Combat sports in my eyes deserve a lot of respect when training within them, so when someone doesn't really care or doesn't want to respect it in any way, shape or form and not take it seriously, it tells me a lot about their character, and here it tells me of someone who doesn't really have a lot of respect for really anything. Now, the next few videos are just adverts for the YRP collection, which, hey, you can actually buy a shirt or a hoodie if you want to support this creator and making their ARG if you're interested. Now, initially it might have just seemed like the person Sophie was just trying to sell shit for the sake of selling shit, but it's a fun way to support an ARG genuinely, and you can probably get an actual piece of clothing out of it, which is kind of nice. But let's move along to the next video now, which released on 27th of February 2020, titled "Rich Girl Lives on £10 for a Day, Failed." Starting the video, we see how it ends up, with the challenge failing with Sophie paying for a lunch, I'm guessing, which is over £100. But the video actually begins with the same sort of intro from the first video, but a couple of new sentences, mainly,
On my journey of the self, I discovered that material things are distractions. Things which make us think that we know what we want.
a bit of a far cry from the attitude she had in the first video, where the entire video was focused on the material objects that she was showing off. Cars, the planes, the house, whatever else she showed off. But actually getting into the new part of the video, we have some real, definitely funny moments with Sophie, and she states,
No, it'll be fine, like £10 is a lot of money, it's like 10,000 pennies.
well, it won't buy you a house, it can buy you 2 whole meal deals, so that's quite a lot of money for quite a lot of people. And we meet a very important character now.
So this is Plum, she's basically one of my oldest
Plum?
friends.
And she spends the first 5 minutes of meeting her glazing Sophie, talking about how great her brand is for making a plain white t-shirt. Truly the top tier creativity that we need in this world. And Sophie tries to be deep, starting a conversation talking about
The stuff is good. The inspiration just comes a lot from spirituality. I think everyone has a colour, and you just like look at a person like Plum, your colour is orange.
Yeah.
Like, even if you weren't wearing orange, I can just see orange.
not only is Plum wearing orange, which would be a preconception just by looking at her, Sophie's also wearing orange sunglasses. It really does sort of just play into the idea that she has no fucking clue what she's going on about, but hey ho, maybe she actually meant it, but who knows. Now we meet Edward, the male model who models for Sophie's brand, but while Sophie is talking, everyone is looking at their phones, chatting and just sort of being a bit distant, I guess, and not really engaged with what's happening. But Edward seems to enjoy having his clothes off as well, which is a bit odd for a model who's meant to model clothing. You kind of need to wear it to show it off, but hey ho. And Sophie quotes The Truman Show.
Wherever you are in the world, good afternoon, good morning, good night. I think it's all
A top tier film, first of all, in which Jim Carrey's character lives a fake life for everyone to watch on a show. And I wonder if they're trying to parallel something here with this ARG. We are watching this woman's life and we're going to slowly see it probably decay into whatever is going to happen. And we get back to the first scene of Sophie failing the challenge, and she apologizes for it, stating that she'll do it again at some point, and yada yada yada. Yeah, the whole subscribe, like, all that yada, maybe do that for me, like and subscribe, that's pretty cool. But before it ends, we get a couple of glitches in. Didn't catch that? Well, I'll pause it real quick for you so you can see what's actually happening. So in the few frames of footage, we see a girl with brown hair sitting on a bed in front of a dressing table, and that is all we see. We don't know the name of this girl yet, but we will slowly uncover the secret of who this girl is and how she ended up in the video in the first place. But also a montage in that villa place in Greece, with Sophie getting annoyed about getting her makeup wet, but then jumping with water, so a bit of hypocrisy there. Okay. But that one glitch that we just saw now indicates to us that yes, all that we are seeing isn't as just normal as it seems. What we are seeing potentially isn't real, and potentially there is something darker on the underside of it. Potentially this is just a veneer to sort of just distract us. But other than that one glitch, the rest of the video is pretty normal. Now, something happens at this point on February 29th. Leon Lush, big YouTube personality, uploads a video criticizing Sophie in general for the videos previous. And this one video that Leon Lush made pushed the ARG into the mainstream, with the first few videos getting now quite a few comments and a lot of dislikes, which is to be expected. And these comments and everything will be used later on to kind of change the story a bit and sort of twist it in a way that I don't think people realized they were going to go, but it's interesting. And the way ARGs work, they evolve with the audience itself, they evolve with the landscape, they go with the punches. Now, March 1st, Sophie made a tweet stating that she will make a video responding to the hate she is receiving, and a little bit later in the day, video 5 was uploaded titled Responding to Leon Lush, where the video opens with Plum and Sophie arguing after a night out, with Plum stating that Sophie should just go home with a guy she just met, as she hasn't stopped talking about it. And yes, we get the same goddamn fucking intro again, which at this point seems very pretentious. But
often the poorest man in the smallest house will be happier than the richest man in the biggest house. Why?
Because money doesn't equal happiness. That is the entire point of that saying. It's meant to demonstrate that no matter how much money you make, you'll never achieve happiness unless you know who you are truly inside, which is something you can only achieve with your own mental journey. You can't cheat it with money or anything else. But we meet Sophie in the living room, and with her responding to Leon Lush, she never actually calls out his name at all, and
Being mega rich is probably awesome for a lot of reasons.
there's Leon Lush. So Sophie states she is doing everyone's favorite video style thing.
Doing a side-by-side comparison.
A cheap versus expensive video. And man, I am so sick of these fucking videos now. With Sophie stating that she will have the same amount of fun no matter where she is. And we now cut to the two girls in rather interesting attire, and they are sponsored by what I could gather, a real life body jewelry / paint company. So if you like what they're wearing, you can actually go to this company and contact them to receive it if you want. But the company probably have been contacted a lot because of people with the ARG, but from what I can gather, and a funny document that was made by a lot of the community who sort of did a lot of the research for this ARG, they're not actually part of it. They, I think, just so happened to sponsor the channel in some way, or maybe they had some sort of partnership or whatever, but they're not actually a part of the ARG. They didn't actually know it was all fake or whatever. And I'm sure that isn't annoying at all for them and whoever runs their social medias and all that. Now, this vlog, all things considered, is pretty normal, with the pair Sophie and Plum just planning and talking about their night out. But at the 4 minutes and 15-second mark, the video glitches and we see footage of a woman in a room doing makeup, and it cuts back to the pair talking before again glitching out again, but it doesn't actually show us anything. But as Sophie states before entering the club, they must maintain their high standards. They're of course of a upper class. They should not ever consider being with someone outside of their social class, blah blah blah. Look at this glitch and we see a brunette girl, but more interestingly a room with a chair in it, and it looks a little bit dilapidated. And we get a clear look at the girl who we have now been seeing, and this girl is called... Who is Lara? Well, Lara will be a very important character, perhaps even more important than Sophie herself, and we get an answer to who Lara actually is in the next video, uploaded 5th of March 2020, titled My #1 Super Crazy Fan. This vlog starts with Sophie talking about the glitches in the last video, now directly addressing what has been happening, the horror part of the ARG. And to be honest, this is a great way to try arguing about that mystery there, to make you think of, is this real or is this an ARG? Because you could still kind of believe that maybe this is just some freak glitch that happened with maybe some video being stored on a network somewhere and they kind of just sort of crossed over somehow. It is possible and it could have happened, but it's a great way to keep it alive. But Sophie basically explains what this entire vlog is going to be about. But a few seconds later, Sophie says something that I'm sure no one would ever do, so it completely tells us that it's an ARG.
We were meant to be going to this Supreme drop today, but you know, I sort of feel like...
Yeah, no one buys Supreme anymore, so this is instantly telling us this is not real. But before we cut into the actual events, we get another message from Sophie with her talking about what is going to happen, directly calling Lara crazy and insane, yada yada yada, basic YouTube engagement talk. It's crazy, it's insane, this situation is the situation. Let's get into it now, shall we? We join Sophie and Plum doing an investigation and we get introduced to Sophie's manager, Chloe.
Don't film me.
A rather nice woman. But after a short little B-roll shot of Sophie around the Rolls Royce and some more advertising for the merch, we arrive at Lara's house, which all things considered looks pretty good. Even the two girls state as much.
She's quite nice around here.
And we now meet Lara.
Yes, queen, looking fierce.
Now immediately you'll notice something about Lara. She is, seems like she's trying to play herself up a bit to Sophie. She seems like a fan just trying to impress Sophie, even trying to match outfits with her, but she is ever so slightly off. For example, the glasses she is wearing are the same ones from the last video, and the YRP merch she's wearing is the t-shirt instead of the hoodie that Sophie's wearing. And while the group discuss the weird video glitch, they call for a Mark, a new character, who is a computer whiz, to basically figure out what actually happened with the video files. And they decided to do a
House tour?
while waiting for Mark to come to the house.
Yes.
Now they start walking around the house and Sophie and Plum start low-key degrading Lara with her
The curtains are a bit
raggedy curtains, not having a gym to go to.
Yeah, at home. Don't you have a gym to go to? Or...
Right, we need
And that Plum loved Harry Potter when she was 11, but a simple kid's toy, which is nothing alarming, but Sophie and Plum see it as something
suspicious.
childhood toy. That's well suspicious.
That is f***ed up.
That's twisted.
And when the string is pulled, it plays a song, Pop Goes the Weasel. This is here to clearly show the difference between a person like Sophie and Plum and Lara, with the way that they look at things and how they approach life. Sophie and Plum see everything within Lara's life as tragic, in their own words. And it's clear that Lara is starting to not enjoy the two within her house, as they are completely just making fun of her, basically. But our attention is brought to a door, which Lara says is locked and they cannot go in.
Sherlock Sophie creeping in to blow up the whole scene.
Yeah, should we go downstairs and like investigate there?
Moving on as backup. Detective, let's breach.
You know, I've got like some really tight lemonade downstairs that I made for you guys. Do you not want to try it?
Elementary, my dear Watson. Back me up.
No! Can you just go downstairs?
Obviously, don't want to go in that room, so there's something in there. But it's framed as if Lara is being unreasonable, and this is something you see a lot with other YouTubers and other content creators as well. They frame a narrative how they want it to be, not giving us the full context. We don't know what's in that room when we don't know Lara herself, so why are we acting like she's crazy for not wanting someone to go in a room? It's her house, she has her own boundaries, and they're framing it like she is crazy, and that's sort of the point. And if you feel like she is crazy watching this video, then you're not wrong. It's how it's framed and played out. They obviously cut certain parts of context to make it a better narrative for themselves. Now, returning downstairs, Sophie asked the insightful question,
What's all this like cat?
geez, I don't know, maybe she has a cat.
Do you have a cat? No.
Okay, that isn't normal. With Lara stating that she does indeed not have a cat, and she has cat stuff, it now plants that sort of seed of question in your mind of why the fuck does she have cat stuff, specifically food, out for a cat that doesn't exist. But now Mark is here.
Now I'm here with Mark. Mark is like Gandalf, but for computers. Like, we went to school together. He's like my nerdy friend, a complete computer whisperer.
I didn't think that you knew who I was.
Don't be silly, yeah. You're my friend Mark.
And he seems surprised that Sophie knows him. And for the entire scene of Mark explaining tech stuff to the group of how the video got into Sophie's video, we hear noises in general in the house. For the entire explanation as well, Lara starts to mimic Sophie, getting closer to her physically and the way she talks
Mark, you're so dope.
and acts. She becomes more energetic and she starts repeating phrases that Sophie says. And of course, this causes Sophie great discomfort as she realizes that Lara is probably not alright in the head if the cat food wasn't something that would sort of trigger something in your brain. She's very clearly playing a character. With some more banging upstairs, Plum asks if it is Lara's cat, and again,
No, it's just like I told you I don't have a can. Like there's nobody upstairs. It's just probably the water pipes because they're kind of weird and annoying. And yeah.
Lara states that she does indeed not have a cat, and now the video starts glitching and we can hear Plum say that her phone is not working.
My phone's not working.
Whatever this thing is that's causing the glitching, it also has an effect on things like internet communications and potentially telephone communications as well, and maybe even electrical currents in general. And now Mark finds an audio file on the computer and the video file and decides to play it.
I don't get it, that's nothing.
Now with the audio file playing, Lara starts to get more and more desperate, with banging getting louder upstairs, and she's begging Sophie for things, and then all of a sudden she walks off and then becomes motionless. And we cut to a video feed of a dark, abandoned room, and we hear screaming in the background. But we cut back and see Chloe, Sophie's manager, talking to Sophie.
What were we gonna do, just not come?
Oh, okay, great, yeah. So what we've got is about 3 hours of footage of some weirdo fan's house. That is exactly what the people want to see.
This is a waste of time. We need to go. Who is upstairs?
Once she actually comes back to her senses, this starts to happen.
Sophie, I have more ideas. We could do like a makeup thing.
Oh.
No,
Get off me.
Classical makeup, but it could be like sequins and all that stuff. Like,
No.
And out, just
We need to
Sophie.
go.
Just
We-
get. Oh my god. No, please don't leave. No. Sit back down. You need to back off. No, right now.
I'm telling you to stop filming us, then.
Please, Sophie, come back.
Yeah, the average English experience this is with just people in general. But now Chloe, the manager, is getting a bit annoyed, stating that they just need to leave. There is nothing here for them to gain from doing what they're doing right now, and it's just a waste of time. But the banging continues and the whole group gets annoyed, with Plum deciding to go upstairs. And once she enters the upstairs part of the house, it starts to glitch, and for a few frames we see what appears to be Plum with her mouth open and her lip bloody, and screaming potentially. And things get a little bit heated downstairs.
You need to back off. No, right now.
Let's pause just real quick and rewind. When Plum goes upstairs, we start to hear what sounds like muffled talking or distorted murmurs.
No, please don't leave. No.
We never actually see Plum leave the house with them, so we can assume that whatever is upstairs potentially took Plum. With it now cutting back to Sophie later in the day, which was at the start of the video. Back at her house, she appears really, and I mean really, freaked out, with her now realizing Plum wasn't there when they left the house, but she says it was rude that she didn't say goodbye, which again plays into Sophie's character, where she is completely self-serving. She doesn't care about other people, she only cares about making herself feel good. But she asks a key question.
Okay, can we check the doors are double locked? Like,
This shows Sophie's discomfort for the whole event,
Okay.
and after this question it
So,
glitches one last time and ends
it's
the
been a
video.
really hectic
I'm
day,
sure the
I'm not really sure what to
engagement will
say.
not, I'm
I
sure
guess
this
just like
engagement
and
itself will not
subscribe.
lead
I'm
to
not
any
sure,
unfortunate events within the
what
near
the-
future. Now, 4 days later, the I Am Sophie YouTube channel went live with a live stream with a rather interesting title, titled Numbers. The numbers translate to watch me in a cipher that's used. This cipher is used throughout the entire ARG completely. For every numbers code there is, it uses this cipher, which is okay, but honestly it is kind of boring that they didn't do different things, but hey ho, it's still fun. And the entire live stream itself is only 13 minutes long. Now, this entire live stream takes place in the room that we saw earlier in the glitches, the dark room with the chair in it that looks a bit dilapidated, and we can hear Pop Goes the Weasel playing in the background, slightly distorted. Now this video is just looped. There is not a lot actually going on. It is the same 4 scenes just looped back to back to back to back over the entire 13 minutes, but the comments are what bring our attention to what is actually happening here. The official Sophie YouTube channel, while the live stream was happening, started commenting binary numbers, which I can translate myself, but I'm too lazy, so I plug them into a fun website, and we get some messages out of them. The first message reads, "In this place," obviously indicating the room itself. The next, "Hate will bloom," okay? Then, "But it will find a new face soon." And in the video, we see a shadowy figure referred to by the community as the Shadow Man. Now these messages themselves from Sophie or the Sophie channel hint towards something hateful that will take a new face when it needs to become another person, an entity that takes over people. Perhaps the shadowy figure itself is this entity that is being mentioned. And a day after the live stream, a new Instagram post with Sophie stating that her dad hasn't been home since she returned from Lara's house, and that Plum hasn't been replying since they left as well, with some comments asking about stuff like, "Did you see Plum leave Lara's house?" and her responding about her boyfriend was meant to pick her up, and when asked about the live stream, she states that she hasn't been on YouTube since that video was uploaded, indicating to us that something else posted the live stream, maybe the Shadow Man itself. And a day later on her Twitter, Sophie posted a photo with her dad, but her face is distorted, it's blurred, almost as if saying something is taking over her face. But at 8 PM GMT on March 11th, a new video was released titled 11271518920813.mp4, which translates using the A1Z26 key to algorithm, and Sophie's channel and other accounts got a new banner image. How nice, but let's get into this new video. The video instantly starts with a glitch and we see Sophie and she seems distracted. It seems as if something is bothering her, as if something has sort of gotten under her skin and making her feel very uncomfortable. And we hear rustling in the background with Sophie going to investigate. The camera is left on the floor and it telling us that the entity that we saw in Lara's house that caused the glitching is nearby, and it slowly starts to zoom with some distorted, creepy music getting louder, and we see...
That's such a good fucking scare, bro. It's so good. I'm gonna have fucking nightmares tonight.
We see Mark walking around half naked, and with Ben retrieving the camera, Sophie returns and they seem none the wiser. And she now explains what the video they are currently filming is going to be about, but Ben starts to instruct her on what to do. The cracks of the veneer that Sophie's character is starting to fall. That bubbly character that seems like nothing bothers her is failing. Something truly has scared her and she doesn't feel comfortable making these videos anymore. But she is still going to do a makeup tutorial, or what she calls it,
external body positivity seminar.
One glitch later and a change of scenery, we see someone has completely wrecked Sophie's room with her makeup being wasted by writing a fun word on her mirror. And Ben instructs her to just ignore it and start doing something else. So she starts a DIY project with a t-shirt, but she is seemingly just getting more and more flustered, and she makes something interesting. But we hear banging from the outside, and instead of asking who it is,
Just carry on.
but eventually she does go outside and investigate.
Oh my god, this is such a good fucking... It's so good, genuinely. This is really good. This is like textbook horror.
Finding candles lit up in the bathroom, which is quite romantic if I do say so myself. Sophie asking Mark,
Mark, what? What are you doing in my house, Mark?
I mean, he probably was just about to take a bath. He's got all the candles lit and everything. He probably has the hot water running, put the bath bomb in. But no, he...
Mark,
I'm finally here.
what are you talking about? Mark, what are you talking about? Whose blood is that on your arm?
No, I don't know what I'm doing here. But I'm here now, and that's what matters. Isn't it, Sophie? You want me to see you, don't you?
Yes, the horror really does start beginning now, and it's clear that something is wrong with Mark.
It's like there's a worm in here. It's laying eggs in here. It gets fat. And it gorges on your thoughts. Distends its stomach. And that's its feed, its pulp. Until you're just a worm. Just laying eggs.
He just fucks off.
It appears as though Mark is being taken over by something. His thoughts seem conflicting. They are coming from two separate things. With Mark walking off, the pair try to run away, but they keep running into Mark and another figure, a man in a suit. And this entity is the one seemingly controlling Mark, or whatever is taking over Mark, or maybe he is the one taking over Mark.
Hello, everybody.
With the two running away, they eventually get transported into a dark room. With a woman curled up in the corner, who starts getting a bit feely. It's Plum. She isn't dead, but she don't look that good, being dressed up in a rubbish bag. With Mark now returning, he slowly grabs Plum's head and then... With Plum dead, the pair now try to escape from wherever they are, this dark, tilted room, and we see the chair we saw in the live stream video.
Oh, fuck that.
With Sophie disappearing, Ben investigates a bit more on his own, but then Sophie appears behind him, gagged and restrained, showing that whatever this entity or shadowy figure is, it has some sort of physical control over the world that it is currently in.
No, not Ben.
And the MVP, Ben the cameraman, gets stabbed and bleeds out on the floor, and now Mark grabs the camera and sets it up on a tripod, and Pop Goes the Weasel starts to play.
Pop Goes the Weasel.
As a sort of time-lapse thing begins, and now Lara appears in the room dressed exactly like Sophie in her first video, and she starts making out with Mark and then Sophie. A bit of an interesting action, and the pair leave, Sophie just there in the frame. Then we see flickering between Sophie and the woman in pink, Lara, and what appears to be the man in black, who has been given the name Hate, or the Hand of Hate, by the community. And the next video after this is very interesting. It's the very first video again, but the title is reversed. We see an inversion of the YRP logo, which is Old, Poor and Weak, or OPW, and the same music from the channel trailer is distorted in a way to make you feel, I guess, uncomfortable. And we see the exact same scenes and images from that video itself, but instead of Sophie, we see Lara with her repeating the exact same script alongside a deep distorted voice. It's almost as if Lara took the place of Sophie, and we see what looks like a girl in the same room, lifeless. Whoever is watching this video, we see their face for a few seconds, and this is a new character who is going to be sort of our main character now that Sophie's gone, lovingly called
Hackerman.
He is a hacker, and he does have an actual name. It's Simon, but at this point in the ARG, we didn't know his name, so he was only referred to by what he did, which was hacking, or Hackerman. And at this point in the ARG, the social media channels, mainly the Twitter and the Instagram, were seemingly hacked by the hacker, gaining access and instructing people to not follow
the Instagram.
As slowly Lara has been replacing Sophie in all the pictures and all the posts on these social media sites, and Simon, or the hacker, is seemingly trying to slow down whatever is happening and whatever this entity is but all the posts that Lara or whoever else is making them mirror old ones. They're all the same things, but just Lara is there instead of Sophie. But looking on the shop now, we see that Lara has seemingly infiltrated that as well, and there is also some more binary here, which we can translate to "it is not over." Definitely not creepy at all, but it does show that the ARG is far from over, and there is still a lot more to gather and see coming soon. Now, a problem I actually had with making this video is a lot of the older videos on Twitter and Instagram, and even the pictures and the puzzles there, they're not accessible anymore. The creators deleted them because they wanted to keep the idea of someone's controlling these media channels and removing stuff. Fortunately, there is a very good document, which I'll link below if you want to check it out, which basically lists everything that the ARG had, and it's been a lifesaver with making this video, because I would follow things through and then I would just lead to a dead end, and thankfully this document allowed me to fully map out everything I needed. But also shout out to the YouTube channel Jamie. It has been a lifesaver because they backed up a lot of the YouTube, Twitter, Instagram clips, anything that has been lost to the ether of the internet. So big shout out to them, and they also have a really great playlist which I'll also link below, which has the entire series in order, which I used to watch the whole thing through. So if you want to watch it yourself, check it out there. But the video on Twitter, which was titled 192011516, which translates to stop in the same A1Z26 key cipher, and in it, it's a video in which we see Hate just chilling, potentially a warning to the hacker, and the title stop is telling him to stop what he's doing basically. And again, in the shop, a new photo appeared. Very nice. And on March 19th, 2020, the hacker gave us an update to his identity, stating that it isn't Ben or Mark, and confirming that Ben is dead and that we shouldn't trust anyone we see anymore. And 2 hours later, a new video was posted, and it's a bit odd, and this is suspected by the community to be Hate, the monster creature, the man in black, the finely dressed gentleman, is looking at the Twitter page itself, monitoring it, and yeah, that's probably what this is. It seems any video that is titled with numbers seems to be from Hate, and a couple days after this video, a new Instagram post was made, an announcement for the next vlog. And a few days later, video 10 was released, titled The Guide to Being Young, Rich and Powerful. And this video seemingly takes place from the perspective of the hacker who is messing around with CDs and a computer in a dark room. And we watch videos with hateful comments appearing on the video towards Sophie. And we now see Lara starts mimicking the channel trailer word for word in the dark room itself. And she also has a
friend, Ben, and he's been doing
Oh, okay. It goes on, the same script, but we see images of Sophie covered in blood, glitching in, and it ends with hate comments from the original trailer appearing, the ones that were actually there in the comments and you can find. And over these comments, the monster's face appears, almost telling us that this monster was birthed from the hate itself. It festered in it, born within it. Now the hacker pulls the CD from it now cuts to the channel trailer, but instead of Sophie, Lara is in it, almost telling us that she's replacing Sophie, with Sophie's existence itself being erased completely. Even in photographs like the one with her dad, Sophie seemingly is being replaced, but the dad does look a little bit confused in this one, potentially hinting that maybe Sophie has not been fully erased yet. And we see clips from the other videos as well, with Lara in place of Sophie. The days following this video, we got a tweet from the hacker telling us that he has more discs to play for us, telling us to stand by for new videos. But new adverts for YRP merch are also released, but you can probably guess, instead of Sophie, Lara's in them. But a couple of glitches show us a distressed Lara with the hacker whispering, telling us that she isn't with the entity, she isn't on the side of the entity. Now she tries to explain what happened to her with asking the hacker to do one last thing for her.
I need you to do one more thing for me. I need you to play the next disc and watch it before all the others. I need you to watch it all the way through, just see it all the way through. And it's the only way we can put an end to this.
To just watch all of the footage in its entirety that she has given to the hacker on the discs, with her stating,
It knows. It knows that what I've done is horrible and that I've ruined the way that things should be.
The entity knows somehow and is angry, and her fate is in the hands of a hacker, but hate interrupts this message.
As soon as I can.
it is a bit loud. But again, who is Lara herself? Why has she replaced Sophie? And why is she seemingly being used by this entity or hate to take over Sophie's life? Well, video 12 will answer that question for us. It's an unlisted video uploaded on the 29th of March 2020, titled Lara.mp4, and this is uploaded by the hacker, and apparently this is when a split timeline occurs, because hey ho, COVID times meant filming in public like they were doing previously was now a no-go, as here in the UK at this time full lockdown was in effect. So basically the ARG had to shift away from the sort of cool in-person and in-public sort of shooting to now a more isolated and more personal sort of ARG that they wanted to make. It does shift, but I kind of prefer it in a way, which is odd. I kind of like the idea that it gets a lot more sort of narrow and it isn't as wide feeling anymore, which is fun. But again, there is a potential split timeline here with the newer stuff that's coming out like now, potentially sort of going here and slotting in here, but I just want to put that in here because I know it's kind of still being worked out, but I still think it's fun. Anyway, let's continue on. It opens with the hacker showing a disk and putting it inside the computer with a menu appearing displaying 12 vlogs, and throughout the next few videos we'll be going through these vlogs, and the hacker selects the very first vlog, in which we see a video posted to a completely different channel, Lara's own channel, titled 5 Facts About Me, my first vlog, with the date of the video posted on June 2nd, 2019, far before all this ARG took place. So let's make a timeline for these vlogs specifically, with this one on June 2nd, 2019. And this video is the fun video a lot of people make when they first make their channels, explaining what they want their channel to be, instead of actually making the channel that, which it's fine. And she starts stating that she wants to show what it's like to be.
Address what it's actually like for real content creators and the problems and the day-to-day struggles. So basically just saying what it's like to be me.
Whatever that means. For me, it's for what's it like for me to exist? It's alright. But Lara gives some fun facts about herself. She is...
I'm Lara, of course. I'm 22, I live in London.
I'm so sorry. I finally escaped that hellhole.
I'm an only child and I live here with my dad. My mum passed away when I was 3.
Damn, I guess, okay. She didn't go to uni, but went to college, okay, and she studied biology, sociology, and English, and currently she works for her dad's company, but she might do a BTEC soon. Now this tells us quite a bit about her character in general. If you aren't from the UK, you might find this a bit confusing, because how schools work here in the UK are a bit different in general to the US, for example. So I'll quickly explain what this kind of means for her character in general. So first of all, in the UK, you have secondary school, which is our high school for you Americans. This is where you obtain a qualification called a GCSE, which is a general sort of standard qualification that you need basically to enter the working world. Once you've become 16 and you've sort of finished the exam period, you now have 4 options of where to go from that point. You can go to 6 forms, in which you will study for A-levels or BTECs, depending on what you pick. Go to a college to do the exact same thing, do an apprenticeship, which will allow you to get a very specialized qualification and potentially instantly get a job, or just go to work. Just leave school and go work. Now, 6th form in the UK is, especially in London, is often seen as higher up than college. Even though you get the same qualification sort of level sort of thing, you get the same amount of points, for example, for UCAS, which you used to go to university, it's often seen as more prestigious in general. If you go to a 6th form, it's often seen as better, and college is looked down upon. For example, when I went to 6th form at my secondary school, but it was fine, it was just like school again. But for those who didn't get in, the people that sort of just missed the mark because they didn't get high enough grades, the people who were also there with me sort of made fun of them and looked down upon them, saying, you know, they're not going to get the job they want and everything. And I mean, most people that go to university don't get the job they want. That's all I'll say. Life is pretty cutthroat like that. And if you don't get into the 6th form you want in the school you went to, for example, you often have to go to another, which I always find really weird that 6th forms like kick out their own students from their own school so they can go to another school. It's just odd, because I almost got kicked out because I didn't get into exactly one class I wanted to do, so I had to either pick a different one or move to a different school, and I decided to just drop that one thing, which, hey ho, doesn't really matter at the end of the day, does it? But college in the UK, as I was stating, is often looked more negatively upon. It's often seen as the lower academic sort of potential. People go there, which I've never understood that way of looking at it. Nothing wrong with college in general. To be honest, it's probably better because colleges seem to be better suited to teaching more specialized roles and qualifications that I think can lead to better career options in general. And sixth form, it leads to a lot of people still being very immature, which I saw firsthand. Now, from here, so from college or sixth form, you do your A-levels or your BTECs or whatever, and you get points. These points will then go into something called UCAS, which is something through university. I don't give a rat's ass. And then basically you can then go on to university, which you basically pick a single subject to be very specialized in. This is where I would have gone if I followed through and actually went to university, but I chose not to because I'm very smart. But what am I actually trying to say with this rant? Well, universities are often seen as a privilege for people to go to. Even people who do get the ability to go to them and have the grades and they can achieve it, they often don't financially have the means to do so. Some of the times they need to go into work straight away to help their family financially, or sometimes they just don't have the ability to actually get there, location-based things, for example. It's no secret that a lot of people in the north, for example, the UK, often suffer from worse education systems, leading them to not having as good of opportunities because it's just not as well funded up there. But Lara as well seems to have not been able to get into sixth form, which means she might not have been able to actually get to a university, which she wanted to, for example. It's no secret that the school system in the UK, US, almost every Western country it's very class-based. The higher class people often get the better education and the better support and the better resources, which allow them to then pursue better endeavors in the future. And the, let's say, better universities, the ones that we all know about, they often prefer students from certain schools. These certain schools are called private schools, and it's no secret that here in the UK, our current government does not like private schools. There's nothing wrong with them, but it's often a sort of very much a class divide, and if you are one of the lucky people that overachieves in a state school and goes to one of these prestigious universities, you will be isolated most likely from the people from the upper class and private schools who also attend there because you won't fit in with them. Again, the idea of the equestrian class and Cicero linking back into the narrative. It's a sad thought that even people who do achieve a lot, they still won't fit in anywhere, and some people don't even get that opportunity. Case in point, Lara here, who she doesn't seem to be really flourishing in anything. She doesn't see a future for herself anywhere in a university or even at her dad's company. And studying a BTEC isn't really going to add anything. A BTEC is the same qualification level of what she already has at college. But again, it could be a more specialized thing, which she could then take further. It's just a cool way to show again that difference between Lara and Sophie again, because Sophie is most likely someone who did go to university and did get all them opportunities and did get the best education money could buy for her. So she also has a cat and she is a university. The creators are trying to make her likable. She has pets, which people always like people who have pets, and if you don't like animals, there is something wrong with you. And she's also a gamer, which, that makes a certain group of people very happy. And she names a couple of games, mainly
Skyrim
and
creating a family in Sims.
She is not doing that stereotype any favors at all. But now the hacker backs out of the video and now enters into vlog 12, which is titled Unedited Reaction Footage. And it was uploaded on February 13th, 2020, so let's put that on our timeline. Now in this video, Lara is a lot more glammed up, with more makeup on and more striking clothes on. They're more bright clothes, they're bright red to be exact. Compared to what she was wearing in the first vlog, it's a bit of a big jump in general. Now, like all great YouTubers, she messes up her intro 3 times, not happy with the words she's using.
So my name is... Hey guys, so you probably know me from school. What is up, everyone? Guys, it's Lara here, that girl from school.
And I do know that pain, but she seems more upset in general. She seems less bubbly from her first vlog. She just seems more down in general. And in this video, we hear banging in the background and other noises, and she states this video is for her BTEC project. But she seems just uncomposed, uncomfortable in front of the camera, and when the hacker speeds up the video, we see the video is distorted with Lara's face being covered by some sort of blurry effect. The hacker zooms in on it, does a couple angles, but it disappears after a few seconds. Lara continuing the video, looking to
my reaction video for the new
Fortnite community about what they're saying about the most recent update, which is the most random fucking thing in the world, I'll be honest. Which, okay, she's a gamer, but it just seems a bit out of place in my eyes. But this is just her unedited reaction footage to the Fortnite update, which, again, when she starts looking up videos for it, we hear...
Oh, sorry guys, adverts.
Opening intro of Sophie's channel trailer. And she states that it's an advert. And if I'm not mistaken, I do think the creators of the channel did actually buy ad slots for YouTube when the ARG started out. And this is kind of how the ARG kind of got pushed out initially. It didn't get to this thing they did, and then they sort of contacted Leon Lush and then led to that. It almost ties back into the real world and makes it feel more real because we see like evidence of someone getting an ad for the channel trailer. But now the hacker fast forwards a bit more, with Lara slowly becoming more and more upset as the video goes on.
You've seen the downfall from Fortnite.
And at 6:25, while Lara is talking about the Fortnite update, I'm going to say it as much as I can, it glitches again and we see a scene from Sophie's video displaying that both girls' videos were entangled both ways. It wasn't just Sophie's videos being sort of messed with by Lara's videos, it was also the other way around. Lara's videos also are being sort of infiltrated by Sophie's videos as well. And this would probably explain why the video is private. She probably didn't want to put it out there because she was confused by it. But it returns to Lara and she now starts wrapping the video up, stating her opinions on the Fortnite update. Again, Fortnite's kind of dead now, I'll be honest. And if it's not clear, the Lara we met in Sophie's video earlier, the crazy fan video, is a completely different woman. The woman we see here in this video is not that same girl. That super, and I mean super bubbly girl who mirrored Sophie's behavior. She is more reserved, quiet, unsure of herself. While she is bubbly at times, she definitely is more unsure of herself. She's not as confident as that girl was in that video. And also she does physically show a cat to us, telling us its name and that it is called Tali. I hope Tali is okay. I hope they didn't kill the cat. Now on April 4th, the hacker man gave us a new message telling us to watch the newly uploaded video, Lara2.mp4, again another video from the hacker himself. This video was uploaded on April 4th, 2020, and we are shown the menu for the vlogs again with Hackerman choosing vlog 9. This vlog is untitled but was posted on November 10th, 2019 with 6 views, and within it we see Lara sitting on the floor in her room, only illuminated by what I believe is either a TV or a lamp, because it's too bright to be her phone screen, and she's playing something or watching something on her phone for a while. But it does glitch, and of course now Lara is sitting in front of her camera, and slowly Lara starts saying words.
Dope. That is so dope. That's dope.
It's like she's mimicking a certain someone who had explosive growth on YouTube, someone she wants to be personally.
Lara, are you coming down?
Yeah, one sec.
With the most British dad in the world calling his daughter down, Lara leaves the room but the light remains on and it slowly drones in with music and getting some more glitching and the screen cuts to black and all we hear is the ticking of a clock. And we now return to Mr. Hackerinho is brought to the menu again and now selects vlog 2. And we see a glimpse of the hallway the hacker is sitting in, and it appears hacker James Hacker is in Lara's room. Now turning back to the computer screen, vlog 2 is selected and we see a video titled Smoky Eye Makeup Tutorial with again 6 views and posted on June 21st, 2019, with Lara thanking those who watched her last video, vlog 1, but she's sad it didn't get that many views, but she says that doesn't matter. What does matter is what the person has to say, which, yes, is true, but again, there is more to video creation than that in general. Now she states she wanted to do a...
So this video I kind of wanted to do more of a Magicka based Skyrim video, and then this happened.
Now, I'm a gamer. I've played quite a lot of Skyrim in my time, and I have no clue what this video would entail. I know what magic it is, and it's magic in basically Skyrim, but what does that video even mean? But she has a problem specifically with OBS, and yes, this is a big hurdle for a lot of new people who get into making content, is figuring out actually how to use all the programs that they need. Things like Audacity, OBS, or anything else you use. Like for example, if you use an XLR microphone, your microphone stuff, how to upload to YouTube, or to export it as, all of that shit. And one of the fun ones I always find is figuring out what to use to make a thumbnail. Most people use Photoshop, but if you don't know how to use Photoshop, that's a massive hurdle to get over. And me myself, I've been doing this now for 9 to 10 months, and I am still figuring shit out as I'm doing this, which is probably clear at this point with the amount of problems I have with my videos in general. Things like audio issues, or I completely forget to rename the titles, for example. It's a lot. YouTube and doing content creation is a lot of stuff that you have to keep plates spinning on poles for. You have to juggle a lot of different things, and you have to be sort of a master at everything, but you can't really take the time to learn a lot of stuff. You kind of just have to do it and hope you get better at it. And if any of you out there are having problems with this and you want to start it, just talk to people about it. If you know people that do it, for example, talk to them. They have invaluable experience firsthand of doing stuff like content creation. And also you have something called Google, which will always be your best friend, and is definitely my best friend. But she called a male friend, and we hear his voice.
So if you just go ahead and try and sync that up, then in post, I'll give you a hand for that later on, if that's alright.
Then his identity will be revealed a little bit later on, but she changed the video due to her being unable to figure out how to record gameplay from Skyrim to a makeup tutorial, which is the eyeshadow, which again, I will people out there, try to focus on one thing. It's okay to pivot here and there, but try to focus in these same sort of niches. For example, I am doing horror stuff in general. I did pivot from gaming, but hey, I think this is fun. Now this tutorial for doing makeup, I'm a guy. I don't know. Don't ask me. That's as if you have anything to say in the comments, put it down below if there's anything I missed with a makeup tutorial thing. But she does the tutorial, and of course we get glitches during it and everything, and we learn a little bit more about Lara herself.
I don't know if you guys get this, but like sometimes you just wake up and feel like the idea of going out is a bit big. Not that I don't like going out, like I do. It's just sometimes, I don't know, there are some days where you just feel like you're not going to be great at talking to people somehow.
I kind of relate to that a lot, really. But for me, it's every day instead of just certain days. Anyway, more glitching, and we learn she lives in a small flat with her dad, which we saw of the house she lives in earlier in the crazy fan vlog video. But she also states
he's got rid of the car, which isn't like I do get, but I'm kind of pissed because I would use the car to go and see my friend in Oxford. Can't do that anymore. And obviously it is like, it's so beautiful there.
Oxford is the place that Sophie's from, as it states that on her shop. So potentially there is a link there. With Lara finishing the tutorial up, the appearance of the makeup looks the exact same as the one Sophie wore in her YRP guide video. And she even states,
have it like slicked back like this.
This is the same way Sophie wore it, which is intriguing. But she also gets an email as she's finishing up the video from an anonymous viewer. A request to do a playthrough of a game called
The Guide to Being Young, Rich and Powerful. Sounds like something we all need to be playing. Cool.
And that ends the vlog itself, with her stating that she will play the game in the next video. Now on April 8th, Mr. Hack tweets out that we shouldn't be watching as this is exactly what it wants, referring to the entity, to hate, to whatever this entity is actually called, Shadowy Man, Shadow of Shadows. But on April 14th, a new video was posted, and I'm not going to listen to the Hacker Man, I'm going to watch it, titled The Game 1.mp4. And man, I really, and I mean really like this video. It's really fun in general. We begin again with Mr. Hackerson opening up a menu and selecting Vlog 3, with a video titled My First Live Stream, dated July 11th, 2019, with Lara saying hello and apologizing for the big gap in uploads. And man, they do take a while to make, don't they? Lara talks about Persian? Why have I wrote Persian? Lara talks about personal problems like missing out on stuff due to not having a car, And man, I'm guessing her dad shouldn't have sold that car, and I'm probably going to assume she's going to keep saying it. But Lara continues, stating that she has received 10 separate emails from people asking her to play the game that she got, the YRP game. And it specifies that she should be playing the game in the dark. And this email mirrors the one that Leon Lush got from Ben. Wait a minute, maybe it's the same Ben? Maybe. But here is the description of the game.
Yo Lara, hope you're good. I saw this game today and thought you could make a video on it. It's a game about the new queen of YouTube. You can flex a Lambo, call yourself a businesswoman, spend your dad's money. Love your content, bro. Play in the dark.
And Lara opens the link to play the game. We also learn that 6 people are watching her live stream, which is the same amount of viewers she's gotten basically every single one of her vlogs. But this game is
iffy. Young popular.
The game reflects the intro vlog for Sophie's channel, but in a game format. It keeps glitching, showing actual flashes of Sophie herself. Now, some fun parts are changed, of course. The tragic thing Sophie looked at on her phone is now a decapitated horse. We don't know what was originally on there, but we now know it is a decapitated horse. And again, equestrian horses, equestrian class, Cicero, Sophie's dad. There's links all here, and obviously trying to tell us something here about the fall of rich people. Now, other than that, a decapitated horse is a very striking image, which has a wide variety of symbolic meanings. Of course, dead horse is a big one, which is the idea of doing something with something or someone that is long past its expiration, i.e. working with someone or something that is no longer productive. It's futile, but the idea of a headless horse, it's futile, but also the idea of a headless horse can link to death, loss or powerlessness, or the loss of power itself. Horses have always been a symbol of power and of the elite themselves, so a headless one is almost saying the rich and powerful people have fallen. Now, of course, we continue with the video with some more glitches, but again, let's bring our attention to the library which Sophie was in earlier. And in the game, Sophie reads one of the passages from the books. Verily she hath 12 feet all dangling down, and 6 necks exceeding long, and on each a hideous head, and therein 3 rows of teeth set thick and close, full of black death. Well, this passage is from Homer's, the second poet mentioned, his most famous work, the Odyssey, and it describes Scylla, a nymph character, being turned into a monster by the sorceress Circe, due to Circe being jealous that Scylla was catching the gaze of Glaucus's eyes. Basically, she has something that she wants, so she tries to destroy her in order to obtain it. I'm sure this isn't a metaphor and a mirroring of what is happening in this ARG. Moving along, the music then changes to a new piece of music, which if you slow it down and then reverse it, it's the fucking Lavender Town theme from Pokemon Red and Blue. Hated that I immediately knew what this was because of how much of a fucking nerd I am. So yeah. But of course, it's the cursed music that people know about. It's the classic creepypasta sort of horror story that people used to always talk about, and apparently kids go insane listening to it, so be careful listening to it. But a little while after, the music disappears with just a piano and a fireplace in the room. And guess what?
Sorry, what's the sound?
Now with Lara interacting with the fireplace, it states that the fireplace is filled with rotten wood, almost as if the rich items shown in the YRP guide video are fake, a cheap veneer that can easily be peeled away and shown a rotten inside. But you get the idea. We continue along with the game, but things change a little bit here and there to make it more disturbing, with the occasional glitch showing things like the worms that Mark was describing, or Sophie again, or maybe another character. But we move along to the private jet scene, in which the private plane is labelled Hell, and Lara enters it, and I'm sure this is not her actually entering Hell at this point. And I'm sure we don't need to abandon all hope at all, do we? The seats now are made of human skin, with Sophie now showing a picture of her dad, but instead of the actual picture of her dad, it's a picture of sinners being burnt alive at the stake. And maybe, just a theory, Sophie's dad made a deal with whatever this entity is to get the life he has to escape the working class and achieve genuine wealth. Maybe sold his soul to the leader of Hell, just a theory, but we hear a scream.
They were screaming. Oh, that's really...
Which is Plum's scream from the video where she is killed. Lara slowly getting more and more scared and uncomfortable from the game. Her webcam goes to static and Sophie appears on the screen. Then the game begins to shake, and then the scene disappears with a plane crash. We now cut to the gym meeting Lewis again. But he is quite quiet now, and some of his only words that he states are protect yourself. In game, Sophie says you got to hide your face at all times, which is slightly different to what was actually said in that video about protecting yourself at all times. But it's the same sentiment about always ensuring that you can keep yourself safe, but instead of actually physically protecting yourself, hiding your true self. This is often said. You need to hide your true self online to protect yourself from others, mainly from being judged too harshly. But eventually the scene whites out, which illuminates Lara's room. We can see a rather fine gentleman standing behind her, indicating to us that hate has now infiltrated Lara's life as well. Lara is now returned to the main menu, but instead of saying start, it now says continue, and Lara is visibly distressed at this point. And it cuts back to Hackstar123, but that ends the video itself, and on April 16th, the YouTube icon now changes from the previous one with Lara on the Lamborghini to the current one with the distorted face, which appears to be Sophie and Lara's face combined. And on April 21st, Solid Hacker sends us a tweet saying we're going to see this through, with the game menu on screen in the tweet. And on April 22nd, video 15 was uploaded titled, Who Are You? Revolver Hackalot picks vlog 4 on a very distorted menu screen, and the vlog continues where the last one ended, with Lara live streaming the game, clicking continue, but the game seemingly starts again, but it's changed a bit with the text reversed, and it appears on Lara's webcam, which shouldn't be possible, and some of it's sort of outside of the borders of the actual camera itself. It's clear that hate is messing with the video, but it returns to normal, and now Lara is playing through the £10 challenge. But then a fun moment happens where the game asks the question
Do you think I'll spend it all? I don't know what it wants me to do here. I want you to answer my question. Okay, maybe I can do that if there's somewhere to click to move the game forward. Go ahead, Lara. Yes, one.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh.
That's really, really good. That's a really good scare.
Yes.
I love this moment. It's a great use of horror in general. We are seeing a woman who, all things considered, seems like a nice, genuine person, now being actually fucked around with by whatever this game or entity is. And this freaks Lara out as she has to verbally answer the game itself, and the game responds to her questions, and it also knows her name, and will soon learn it knows way more about her. Now, some things have changed, of course, with Sophie's colour now being black instead of pink. And another theory, potentially, is that Sophie stated that all people are associated with a colour. For example, Plum's colour instead of plum colour was orange. Sophie, we know, was pink. So what about other characters? Well, Ben, Mark, and other characters potentially have a colour. Like, for example, Ben might be that beige colour that we saw him wearing. Mark could be blue. And Lara, for example, we could say is red because we saw her wearing a very red outfit earlier. So who would be black then? Well, there is only one character I can think of that wore a nice, sharp black suit. Hate. Hate embodies potentially black itself, a very deep and disturbing colour that obviously indicates death itself. And this could mean that the Sophie that is talking in-game is not actually Sophie. It's hate. It's the algorithm or whatever it is. He is using Sophie's story to manipulate Lara, but this takes place before the videos that were uploaded on Sophie's channel. So now you ask the question of how does this game actually exist, and why does this game exist before those videos, and why are they mimicking future events? Potentially, hate is a fourth dimensional being who can see the future and past all at the same time, potentially. And it could explain why we physically cannot see hate most of the time. We cannot comprehend him. But again, that is just my theory. Now the game switches to the photo shoot for the merge, and again, the game asks Lara if she's happy with this room. She responds
yes.
It continues on as normal. And the game asks,
Lara, who are you? I'm Lara.
The game then glitches again and it sounds as if Lara starts crying.
Sophie looks at me.
And the game now asks,
Where are you, Lara?
Oh my god.
I'm at home.
the game then asks a very sinister follow-up question.
Where is, oh my
Where
god.
is home?
Lara, now realizing that potentially someone or something is on the other end of this game, now begins to break down and cry, and she refuses to answer the question, but the game continues on, and some text is missing from the lines on the screen, which in the original video they were positivity. The game now asks Lara if she takes a spiritual approach to things in life. Lara responds how most would, not everything, but then the game asks if she will do this moving forward, approach life completely in a spiritual way, and Lara agrees with it, inviting whatever this thing is into her life, potentially some sort of evil spirit now. It now switches to the final scene in the £10 video, the restaurant scene with Ben and Sophie. It glitches a bit, but a new Sophie appears wearing a pink suit and with dark hair, potentially Lara herself, her sprite, showing that potentially she has now been absorbed into the game as well. And now the game instructs her that despite Sophie being unable to complete the challenge, she will do it again, and Lara now looks, she don't look good. And the game now follows Plum and Sophie into the villa again with
Plum, she's dead.
Dead in the pool, how fun, and Lara's view count now goes from 6 to 7. Which it has been 6 this entire time, and the increase to 7 I think is obviously trying to tell us something, that something new has entered her world. And now the game begins to lay into Lara.
I'm waiting for your daddy to come home. What the fuck? What is this? Don't be scared now. Remember positivity.
And it focuses on the word reads, which it should remind you of the worm imagery in the video where Mark appeared, and it kind of sent me into a panic, but the game asks Lara one last question. Who are you? But before Lara can answer, the video cuts off of a glitch indicating that potentially Lara answered differently compared to last time, maybe stating that she is indeed Sophie or whatever the entity wanted her to say. But it cuts now to Lara crying on the phone, talking to her friend from the Smoky Eye tutorial.
You've just got to stop playing the game immediately. Don't go on it. Don't play it anymore. Send it over to me, and I'll try to deal with it.
Okay.
And the words "I can see you" appears on screen, followed by a 2, saying that this entity could also see whoever is on the phone as well. Or maybe to us, the viewer. Ooh, spooky. I love it. It's great. And it ends here. This is really great and potentially fills a lot of questions that you and me had about what the entity is, where it came from, and what it is doing. It seems like some sort of organism that takes over people using some sort of ritual, which is in the form of a game, and it uses it to communicate with people and infiltrate their lives, /psyche, /brains if it is really a worm parasite thing. Where we can potentially see what happened to Lara, why she turned into what she was, why she reacted to the noise played on the computer, and potentially what was upstairs in her house. Potentially it was hate itself, and the Lara we saw was completely taken over by that entity. Now our next question should be, obviously, who is Hackerman? Well, that is answered in the very next video titled I Can See You Too, uploaded on May 4th, 2020, in which it begins with a glitch and then an image of Agent Hacker 7, and it cuts to a room with a lot of flamingos, and we meet Hackerman, or his actual name, Simon, with him dancing to some disco music and a lush flamingo. And he starts talking to the flamingo toy while drinking a beer, an average Tuesday night if you ask me. After some more talking about how life sucks and how he is
I'm a fucking pathetic loser.
Simon comments that he must always be available to help people, and specifically a certain person who wouldn't go out drinking with him. A few beers later and a couple puffs of a vape, he gets a notification on Skype in which he declines, stating how late it is, which, mate, you're just sitting about drinking and vaping. Still, do whatever you want. But eventually he gets another message which he responds to, and it's from Mark. And Mark needs Simon's help looking into some sort of
an absolutely mad malware. Some sort of data digging code hidden inside a game. Do you want to have a crack at it?
Simon agrees to give it a look and opens it up, and it is the exact same game that Lara played, But opening it, it doesn't say start, it says continue on the main menu screen. And Simon begins straight away typing an email to someone, to
Lara.
And he is the one who sent the game to Lara, and he somehow already knew what was in the game, potentially indicating to us that there is a hidden cut in the video that basically removed him playing the game. And then it ends with some glitching, now filling in the detail, of course, of who sent Lara the game and who Hackerman is. He's called Simon, and he is a bit upset that someone doesn't want to go drinking with him, potentially maybe Lara, potentially. But also we learn that Mark, the computer genius that Sophie called to help her with the video, also was involved with the game in some way, shape or form as well. Now one question you might have is, why does Simon seem so obsessed with flamingos and why do they cover his entire room? Well, flamingos represent quite a lot of different things. Not only do they represent things like love, balance, emotional healing, but they also, in his own words, represent something that can protect you in a storm. Flamingos in spiritual sort of traditions are very guidance-based animals. They guide people to make themselves better, protect themselves from their own demons, keeping them authentic and finding balance within their life. But also flamingos are very much a symbol of balance, reminding people that we need to find stability and harmony within our lives, ensuring that we are always true to ourselves and we are never presenting a fake version of it, which this whole symbolism links back into this whole ARG about presenting a fake personality. It's very clear Sophie was a fake personality, she put it on a bit, and Lara also seemed to be sort of putting it on a bit as well. And on May 4th, a tweet from Simon appears on the Twitter, and it's just him apologizing for him sending the game to Lara. And on May 6th, another tweet asking if Lara is still there watching, as he just needs to know if she can talk, as he can make this right. Yeah, lad, I don't think you can. I think it's a bit late for that. I think whatever this thing is definitely winning. And in this tweet, he responded to responses like, hey, you ruined her, mate, didn't you? And his response is, nah, you don't know the full story. A bit odd, I'll be honest. But one is interesting to me, with him responding to someone saying he killed her, with him saying, no, she isn't dead, but we, the viewers, we will kill her if we continue what we're doing, and if it can't be fixed. And he implies that all the people watching have played the game as well, but we just cannot remember it, and somehow it changes people in a way. Now, while Simon does partly blame himself, seeing he needs to redeem himself for what he did, he believes he is not fully to blame here, but one response is different. It just says stop. Now, while the tweet above is about we are in the game or not or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. The tweet from I Am Sophie account is different. People write in a certain way and they always redo the exact way they type. Simon, for example, uses correct capitalization for all of his messages and texting. And this stop is all in lowercase, potentially indicating to us that Simon has now lost control of the account or someone else has gained access to it now. And now on Instagram, another video with another string of numbers which translates to the same speech that Lara gave in her first video, but Lara is replaced with Sophie and Dad has changed from a distant to her dad being supportive now. And the rest of the video is clips of Sophie in the chair or on the floor. I think it's kind of hard to make out from the split second we get. And we see Hate wearing Sophie's hoodie, a white hoodie. Plum is here again and she still looks not great. And then we go back to Hate and then the video ends with Hate saying, did you get it? And the video ends on Simon vaping before fading to black, indicating to us that Simon potentially is now the next target of Hate. Now on May 16th, 2020, a new video was uploaded titled Are You Being You, which is a very interesting video. It's similar to the one on Instagram earlier, but we get some new clips of a bloody hand, nice, Lara freaking out over someone just saying hello to her.
Hello? Hello? Who are you?
Yeah, I know how that feels. And as shit gets crazy, Lara begins to hear Sophie, Plum and herself outside the door.
You.
What's that room? I think that's locked. Yeah, but what's in it? I don't know. No idea.
What the fuck?
Now look, Sophie creeping in to blow up the whole scene.
Yeah, should we go downstairs and like investigate that? Moving on as backup, detective, let's breathe.
You know, I've got like some really...
It's the conversation from the crazy fan vlog, but opening the door, no one is on the other side of it, or there is no other side to it.
Who
and Lara starts to freak out, and it looks as if the doorway is potentially blocked off, which would explain earlier why the door was locked, and if the cat is in that room with Lara, why the cat doesn't exist anymore. Lara, now realizing whatever this entity is has now trapped her, begins to scream, and the Sophie asks,
"Who are you?"
And we now see a person pick up a merch bag, put it on their head and grab a revolver, with this footage being swapped between with Lara sobbing in her room and the guy in the chair, and with the guy with the gun in his hand, he kills himself. On May 17th, the I Am Sophie Instagram began to repost images of fans wearing the merch itself, which they photoshopped themselves into, as the creators actually requested the community to do this to kind of just build the world up a bit. But it does show that potentially that hate's influence is growing and expanding beyond just the characters we ourselves are seeing. But the fourth image shared by the Instagram page just shows a bloody multi-tool, which we saw earlier, someone stabbing themselves with it, and a cipher reading "See me," and a tweet from the I Am Sophie Twitter. "Those poor people, their admiration was misplaced." Now, this tweet potentially can be from two places. Either Simon blaming the fans for what happened to Lara, or Hate now angry that people are now backing Lara, wanting to save her from him, with the community starting a campaign, a We Love Lara campaign, in which many posted photos, makeup replications of what Lara did in the second vlog are, and they just spread love for her and trying to get the message out about the ARG. And on May 27th, a new Instagram post, but I don't care about that because there was also a new video titled Lara 3. The video begins a close-up of the main menu with vlogs 5, 6 and 7 shown. Vlog 5 is selected with the vlog titled I Guess I'm Back, posted August 31st, 2019. In it, Lara is filming outside in a communal garden, a common thing for flats in the UK, but she escaped her room seemingly. She apologizes for not being online and talks about how she hasn't felt right in a while and how she has been trying to spend more time outside, but as the music fades out, she starts describing something called the tilted room.
Tilted.
And that her bedroom has started to feel tilted, causing her to feel sick when inside of it. And the air is thick, as if something is inside there with her, and despite her problems, her dad still is distant.
He's very tactical at changing the subject.
It's almost as if this emotion is being bottled up inside and she needs to let it out, but no one is giving her the time of day. Even her father is pushing her away and not allowing her to get her problems out. But as Lara goes on, she starts to look more and more sad, and she tells us she no longer has a job at her dad's company, as the company has been struggling, and it seems that her dad kind of blames her for its problems.
Everything is more efficient without you, Lara.
So she is looking for a job, and she hopes that she can go back to school one day, and she goes on about what she wants in life: friends, money, etc, etc, things that everyone wants. But she mentions she has been having recurring dreams, with her dreaming of something sitting on her bed, sinking into it, and when she
sit up and there's this man in a suit, and he's got something wrong with his face, but I can't figure out what, and he's like caressing my feet.
Nice.
Really softly and gently and like lovingly.
Right.
And then he slowly points to the corner of the room, and there's this like crouched figure in the shadows, and unlike the man in the suit, the figure makes me feel really threatened, and like it gives me that spiral feeling in my stomach. And then the man tells me not to worry, and then I ask him if any of this is real, and he starts to open his mouth really wide, like unnaturally wide, almost like he's trying to smile, and then I wake up.
It seems to be Hate sits in her dreams and is caressing her, trying to infiltrate her. When she looks at Hate in her dream, she gets the exact same feeling she gets when she sits in her room, the tilted room. She wonders what it wants and whether she should just accept whatever it is and allow it into her life. And we know that she does eventually accept it, but it does now tell us that the tilted room and Hate are one and the same thing. And again, I think Hate is some sort of fourth dimensional being that humans cannot fully comprehend. And the tilted room is just a thing that it creates to basically trap people and basically take over their bodies, psyches, whatever. And now Lara mentions the game, saying that while it scared her and made her feel unsafe, it also made her feel like she was finally seen by this hate. And now all of a sudden Lara says something rather concerning.
And no matter how much I breathe in the fresh air, it is nowhere near as satisfying as the thick air in the tilted room.
Which is conflicting. She's conflicted on whether she should accept hate and the tilted room or embrace it and allow it to basically join her life. And this point is when the video ends. So it seems that Lara has been visited by hate and is conflicted whether she should embrace the only thing that seemingly actually sees her for who she is something that gives her the time of day, something that not even her dad would do for even a moment. But hate gives her his undivided attention. The next video released June 3rd, titled continue.mp4. It begins again with the menu, but vlog 6 is selected. Now this video is kind of bananas, I'll be honest. A lot happens very, very quickly. We see Lara sleeping and something thanking her for her beauty. Then changing to another video of Lara doing her hair and again thanking her for innocence. Then a clip of some water from the £10 vlog video, and then thanking her for her eyes. It's almost as if Lara has given herself to this entity, and it is thanking her for all of the things that he has been blessed by from her. All of the actual good things that people would see in someone. Eyes, beauty, innocence. These are good traits that people like, and hate enjoys having them. It also thanks her for her voice, and we see a large knife, and we see someone cutting their wrists as it thanks Lara for her time, with the cutting being interwoven with shots of pink tulips. These flowers symbolize obviously love, affection, happiness, yada yada, but spiritually tulips represent new life, a la rebirth. This is why you normally give them at funerals, weddings, as they represent a new chapter in someone's existence. Then we get back to the decapitated horse again, the fall of a higher class again. Then we see Lara yelling again in the crazy fan video, and yeah, it goes a bit bananas seeing clips of Lara, Sophie, and hate appears as well, but then it cuts to a plane in which we start hearing screaming and shaking. And then it cuts, obviously indicating to us that, like in the game, the plane crashed. So what is this video trying to get across? Well, to me, it seems that the two girls, their thoughts are being merged. We see things from Lara and Sophie's memories being merged and the many symbolic things we have seen in the past, but this video to me represents when hate finally either took over Lara or copied her, and I think it's the first moment of him infiltrating her mind and gouging it out, spreading its influence into her. But the plane crash is interesting. We have never seen, or, well, we have seen it, but we don't know what character this is from. If my theory is this is both girls' memories, whose memories is this from specifically? We know Lara was probably not involved in the plane crash, but we do know her mother died in an accident, so potentially it could be her mother's death, maybe? Or maybe it's related to Sophie in some way that we don't know yet, because the game took place for Sophie's life and the game had the plane crash in it, so potentially it's actually one of Sophie's memories. Now on June 3rd, Simon again tweeted out that he wasn't prepared for what was just posted on the YouTube channel, displaying that even he does not know what's happening now, and it is something that he himself did not foresee. And 10 days later on June 13th, a new video was uploaded titled "Poor Girl Lives on £10 for a Day, Failed." Again, mirroring Sophie's video, and the video again begins on the menu with vlog 7 being chosen. This video was uploaded on October 13th, 2019, with no title again, but a few seconds later the date changes to August 31st, and this video glitches quite a bit. But we can see Lara's phone, which is an Android, so you know the meme of poor people Android, I have an Android, so, and we see an app on her phone, a black triangle, which opens itself, and it's YRP mobile, showing that whatever hate is, or this thing, whatever Sophie is potentially, it has now spread to her phone, and she physically cannot escape it now. And she begins interacting with the app and the game Sophie being instructed to steal money from her struggling father and burn it. Now, funny thing, English pound notes, they cannot be burnt. They're made of plastic, they're not paper money. They are very hard to burn, especially with a lighter. You can do it with enough, but a lighter won't do it. But it is now shown that Hate's influence over Lara is now able to control her very actions, and it is able to straight up communicate with her now. Now on June 25th, a new video on Insta was uploaded, which is a 2-second video which is a close-up of Lara's face covered in blood, and she is crying or something, I don't know. It's only 2 seconds, but it does still seem that Lara is suffering from Hate's influence. Now the next video, funnily enough, is very, and I mean very gory, so much so that it's not actually available on YouTube. Fuck it, I'll try put it in the video, but no promises, YouTube might fuck this video as well. Uploaded June 25th, 2020, it is titled Pop Goes the Weasel, and warning I guess, here's time if you want to skip the super gory bit because this is just a gore video. We hear Pop Goes the Weasel playing in the background and Lara is covered in blood crying, and some sort of meat, which becomes very clear it is meant to be a horse's head, has been cut off and is now being sort of played with and cut up and everything. It's fun, and we see game version of Hate now appear on the screen, showing that he is somehow linked to the game as well. But from the meat being cut up, it now cuts to a brand new character, calling someone on the phone, intercut with shots of Chloe, and this character is called David, and he seemingly is talking to Sophie as well.
Hello, David. It's time to tune in.
And then as this conversation is ending, comes out to the main menu again and goes into the next vlog, vlog 8, and it is a dead animal warning, by the way. It cuts to a decaying corpse of a cat. Please don't be Tali. And then we see art pieces of Celia, the character from Odyssey, in different stages of her transformation. Obviously trying to bring back that sort of metaphor about changing a person completely from a person of beauty to a monster, which I'm sure is what Hate is doing. But at the end of the video, we hear David saying, "I'm so sorry," and then we hear the screaming from the plane crash video in continue.mp4, potentially indicating that David caused the crash itself. But obviously we don't fully learn that. That is me just pulling something sort of out of what could be. Now on June 25th, Simon tweeted out again that we shouldn't watch anymore. We need to let this die. He's messed it up and he has lost control of whatever it is, or if he even had control in the first place. He apologizes to Lara for not being able to fulfill a request to save her and keep faith in her, and he pleads with us to stop watching. Now, of course, we're not going to do that. We're going to continue on. Now, the video Pop Goes the Weasel was taken down. Now, it has been re-uploaded by other people, and you can find uncensored versions of it. And on July 3rd, Simon tweeted out again with him sounding more and more desperate now, blaming the audience, and he says this might be his last post, and he asks us to wish him luck as he's about to do something probably foolish. Then he replies to his tweet with the quote from Lara about watching the last vlog all the way through, but apparently it might be more violent than Pop Goes the Weasel, so it is impossible for Simon to upload it to YouTube specifically. So maybe out there is this video somewhere that hasn't been solved yet, but we don't know yet. And 3 days later, a cipher translated to Pop was posted with a video with the disco music Simon was dancing to and the flamingo plush covered in blood. I'm sure Simon's okay, but then on July 19th we get a video, I can see all, and again it opens on the vlog menu, selecting vlog 10, which again no title but posted on November 2019, but then it cuts to static and a very blurry CRT telly.
Hello, and welcome to Crodius Industries. My name is Howard Moore.
And we see David watching an informational video of Crodius Industries, which is a company, in their words, focused on
the lives of thousands of men around the globe. With our ever-developing unique system, Crodius Industries is delivering a product
with a product that looks like a woman, and he mentions
Our head of production, Chloe, will get you set.
And we hear the music from Sophie's vlog intro playing, and we see a 3D model of a female figure. Dr. Guy here goes on about the company, but then it cuts and we see a call between Chloe and Simon, and they start to talk about making something with code and machinery parts, with apparently orders for this product increasing out of the blue all of a sudden, and she says Mark is up to his eyeballs with the order. Chloe states to Simon,
I was kind of hoping you were calling to ask for your old job back.
But Simon says it's not for that. That's not the reason for his call. He wants...
Exactly. I had something else I wanted to talk to you about. I need to put an...
Is that so?
Now Simon starts to explain what he wants for his order. He doesn't want Mark knowing about it as well apparently, and it's why he's talking to Chloe about it and not Mark, which Chloe was confused about, but I think you'll figure out now why very quickly. But the order is for a model with
blonde hair, blue eyes, preferably tall and slim.
All the classics.
I've actually got a reference photo.
And Simon even has a reference image for what he wants the model to look like, and he shows an image of Sophie. But Simon needs it to be as close as possible as to what he orders. And now Simon states that he wants what he wants to call the machine.
I want to call her Sophie.
Sophie. Okay. Sophie.
So the video continues on to another vlog which shows the model which Simon ordered, which is vlog number 8, titled, no title, again, uploaded November 1st, but it slowly transitions the model to the real Sophie, or is she real? And the video ends with Hate hovering over the 3D Sophie. Okay, so I think you probably have a lot of questions, and I did as well. So what does this video mean? Well, it indicates that the Sophie we have been following isn't a real person. She is a man-made machine or AI or character created by a company called Croc Industries for Simon, an order that he placed. So all of the first few vlogs seem to be AI testing stages, and I'm guessing that somehow the AI went rogue at some point when Simon sent the AI that was in the game to Lara. With it interacting with Lara, it started taking traits from her and it started to become her own person. All the hate that Lara felt, it gained as well, which would explain why hate is in the game. Also, hate is also called the algorithm. The first video Hate appeared in was titled The Algorithm, so potentially Hate isn't actually like an entity, he is just an AI machine, an algorithm, but he has learned what hate truly is, and he believes he needs to do something to stop it. Now, the algorithm or Hate used the most modern and complex model that was ordered, the Sophie model by Simon, and used it to escape the program, potentially with Hate being Sophie as well, and then using the model that was created to infiltrate Lara's life. So is the Sophie that we saw in the first few vlogs real or fake? Well, I don't believe she is real. Mark appearing in Sophie's life and stating that they went to school together is odd, and also these videos take place before, and Chloe is also Sophie's manager, so you get a lot of questions there. But to me, Mark appearing in the vlog, it's almost as like someone's coming in to fix a problem with this simulation. Like Mark isn't an actual person here, but he's actually just an employee who somehow entered the simulation to fix the problem. More specifically, the problem with the model. Chloe appeared in the vlog just to keep an eye on what was going on, to ensure that the model's progress in testing was up to snuff. And she saw that Lara was potentially not a good thing for the testing stages, and potentially was creating more unstable problems for the model itself. And you're probably then asking, who is Plum? Well, I think Plum is just an employee to ensure the personality that is requested by Simon sticks to the model, basically to raise the model up and ensure that it stays consistent with its personality, being its best friend basically. But that's just my theory, as we don't actually learn a lot. We do learn quite a bit, but we don't know enough. And Sophie's dad as well could also just be a higher up at this company, or as some people have guessed, potentially this doctor guy, Howard Moore. But what I can gather, this company potentially started to create robot girls or AI girls for men, which would explain the change in their lives. Thousands of men who could order a woman to their liking, and we are just seeing an order being fulfilled with Simon's order, Sophie. But something went wrong with this Sophie specifically, and somehow Lara got pulled in. And Simon also knows Lara as well. It seems as more is revealed, more questions have started to raise, like why did Simon order a Sophie model specifically? Now, quick side note, remember the guy who Sophie wouldn't stop talking about? What if that was Simon? What if these models are made to be like fully enamored by whoever orders them, which would explain why Sophie won't stop talking about the guy she saw at the club. But of course, the guy shown wasn't Simon, but who knows, just a theory. But let us continue. July 19th, a new Instagram post. Simon's dead. How nice. And now the Twitter has got a new picture of an X over Simon's face, so he's completely dead. And now, 6 months later, on December 25th, how nice, a YouTube community post stating new and old, it begins again, and a cipher which translates to a date, February 13th, 2021. If you want to know, I think they had to stop production of the ARG for COVID specifically, because around summertime in the UK is when full lockdown was in effect, so it was probably very difficult to do a lot of the production stuff in general. They probably just paused it for a while. But over the next few days, some tweets which are cryptic began to appear on the Twitter. On December 30th, a new character appears called Max, who seems to have gained access to the account, and he apparently paid for the account from a dork, probably Mark if I had to assume, as he's the only dork we know about that is still alive. So who is Max? Well, he is So Max seemed to purchase the Sophie account and started doing the basic hype social media personality thing, flaming people who tried to ask about Sophie and everything, but a new channel was also created called Maxstream Pranks, and the I Am Sophie channel makes a post about this channel, so it clearly links now this to the ARG. So let's look at this channel. There isn't anything on it, and that's because all of these videos are private, and the only way to actually find them is either with a direct link or this really great guy called Jamie who has backed up every single video for this ARG. He is an MVP. So February 13th, 2021, we get a video titled I Am So Sorry Mother, Cunt Gets What He Deserves, which is a minute-long video which shows Max bumping into Simon and then begins to stalk him, eventually pulling a funny, doing some breaking and entering, and then average British bloke from Slough, I guess. Okay, next he murders a cow. I am not showing that, but it does happen with this video. And then the next video is far more interesting, titled Homeless Guy Gets What He Deserves. It opens with Howard talking about some sort of device which is a key component of the experience, which is a device which allows users to fully immerse themselves in a deeper, and his words, needed state. It's almost as if the company is selling fake experiences as well to people. Now Max is out and about and he spots a homeless man on the floor, assaults him, and then Max puts the device in the man's head. And then all of a sudden the video changes to a first-person perspective of the man, and he now glitches into a 3D simulation with a 3D Sophie in front of him. And this seems to be what the company created. Simulations with women men can create to live out their fantasies. There's houses, you can create the perfect girl you want, and this one seemed to be Simon's order specifically. Now Max is a bit confused by the video once it posted, tweeting out as such on February 19th, 2021. A picture of the model was posted to the Instagram as well, with the description host, potentially hinting that this Sophie took control of the homeless man himself. Now a few months later, on May 26th, the bio changed to say gone on the social media accounts, with the announcement that the ARG was now on hiatus. Well, a bit odd, but let's move forward a few months to June 21st, when a new video was uploaded to the Twitter, which is a video shot by Ben showing Mark laying on a couch and a new brunette girl, and Mark and this girl start arguing with the girl.
Who's Sophie?
An argument ensues, obviously, because the girl thinks he's cheating, and it ends with the girl trying to call Sophie. June 26th, a video showing David pacing and shouting into a phone with him saying,
"How am I supposed to be her father if you won't allow me to see her?"
This implies Chloe, probably, who he is talking to, is preventing David from seeing his daughter, but who is his daughter? Well, who knows? Sophie, Plum, maybe Lara, we don't know exactly. But guess what? This is where the ARG paused for 4 years, with it resuming February 13th with a picture of Lara and a link to a new video titled Awakening. And this video is quite the video. It is just Lara talking to a distorted voice in the way you would a therapist. She mentions how she was in pain, and we see she has a gnawing feeling, wanting to feed into that pain, and we see 2 different shots of her, bloody and clean, which are interchanged between. And she talks about how digging into her arm for pain was wonderful and satisfactory, which sounds like an allegory for self-harm. She fed into the algorithm of hate she saw for herself, and when she fed into it herself, she felt better, like she deserved it, like she needed to be hurt. But this harm and hate allowed her to reach a new high. This anguish, it's kind of like social media. The more hate someone has, the often faster they grow. The most simple way to gain notoriety and fame online is to be hated. She then describes a dark place, a place blurred and muffled, a place where no one can find her and time is lost to her. It sounds as if though she has been here for the 4 years since we last saw her. Since anything on the ARG, she has been in the tilted room the entire time. You can also hear hate laughing at her because of how naive she is to believe that she could potentially be saved from this spiral of hate itself. And could hate potentially be Sophie, which would explain what the thing she saw on her phone as tragic was. So potentially Lara hated Sophie because of what she had. She had everything that Lara wanted, money, fame, everything. So she killed Lara, if she's real, and caused what happened to her. Now she has killed the things that she hated the most, but the pain she feels has not stopped. Despite scratching that itch, it has not been fulfilled, it never left her, and we see images of Sophie bleeding in hate and a new figure, a figure with what looks like a plague doctor mask, potentially another form of hate itself or another entity entirely. And now the entity states to Lara that all she can do now is sleep. Hate has filled Lara and taken over her life, and all her actions that she does now are to spite Sophie. Or maybe it's not her, but the single part of her that just drives her forward. It is her hate for everything that has been done to her in life. Her father who didn't care about her, her friends who seemingly didn't give her the time of day, an isolated world that seemingly did not want her. This video is very odd, and obviously strange. But on February 20th, a new image of Lara dressed up, feeling curious on the Instagram was posted, which displays that Lara is still alive. And on February 21st, a new video titled Puppet, and the entire video is Lara just acting out the crazy fan video, which is very interesting to say the least. But nothing else really comes of this video. To me, it just shows that Lara has now become the title with its name, a puppet to hate now. She is just another form of it. Then on March 4th, a video titled Confession was released, and it opens with a podcast called Sophheads. Now this entire video is, how I interpret it, is Lara trying to confess and accept and ask for forgiveness for what she did to Sophie, but hate itself wouldn't allow it. The hate she felt for Sophie would not allow her to feel sorry for what she did, which would explain the two sort of like blurry Laras in the video. The two Laras we see are at odds with each other. You have one that is her guilt and one that is her hate. And throughout the entire video, Lara breaks down crying, saying how bad she feels and everything, but then it cuts to, but then she changes, she shifts to someone just normal, I guess. It's like she's interacting with the podcast again. It's like she's letting hate take over her body again. But the video ends with Lara saying,
I am Sophie.
To me, this shows that the entity hate has fully enveloped her now and controls her fully. Whoever Lara is, she is no longer the Lara that we see. The Lara that we met is now just an extension of the algorithm itself. She is just another Sophie. Then on March 12th, a new video titled Resurrection, and Jesus maybe will appear in this video. I don't know. Opening it, we see Lara laying on the floor in the woods, and a title appears on the screen, The Leech and the Horse. And Lara begins to read a story basically about the leech and the horse, which talks about an illness which swept through a village, wiping out the farm animals, and a man opened up an animal and a black sludge came out from it. Something infected the animals, and his actions on the animals, opening it up, infected him. Speaking of things beneath his skin, and eventually dark lesions broke out on his skin, which eventually killed him. This sounds exactly like the sickness that Mark describes that he had and that he appeared to have in the video where we last saw him. It now cuts to a new angle of someone watching Lara in the woods, and they make a noise. Then Lara begins to slowly approach them, and she starts to play Pop Goes the Weasel, asking, Then it cuts to the family's doom, which follows the apprentice fall into sickness and how she spread it to the healer's family and servants. If it isn't obvious, this story is meant to mirror the story that we have been following. Hate and / the algorithm is the sickness, Lara is the apprentice, and the leech could be Sophie, or the company, or the father, or potentially Simon as well. Then it cuts to the stirring beneath the earth, which talks about the dead begin to arise again, and after being burnt due to their sickness, with their death being a new beginning, akin to what hate did, take over people it captured, beginning a new chapter for them. And now the return, which could hint that all those who have been killed by hate, or whatever the parasite is, it will return them one day to the earth, to take others to complete a family. And family is something we've heard a lot about, be it Lara's parents, Sophie's parents, or more interestingly, a character we never saw or even was mentioned except the one time, Sophie's sibling. As Sophie stated, she herself is a sister, and rather ominously, the video ends with
cooling, waiting for the family to be whole once more.
So maybe an event will occur when the family, whatever it is, will become one again. I believe everyone infected by the algorithm will merge again to bring about something unholy, something evil. But the sister, who is the sister or the brother potentially of Sophie, we don't know yet, and we haven't found out quite just yet either with the ARG now. But on April 3rd, 2025, a new video titled The Game was released, in which we see Lara boot up a game and a new game called You Are Sophie, a YRP adventure game, which has you explore Sophie's mansion and gain followers by taking photos. And the house itself is a very interesting shape, and as I predicted, it is something evil, something satanic, obviously is afoot within this ARG. But Lara needs to get 1 million followers to enter a secret room, fully exploring all of the scenes that we saw from the vlogs that Sophie did. Lara doesn't reach 1 million followers, and a new part comes up after the game over. You get two choices: to put others down to progress your social media career, or stagnate and die and do nothing in life. Choosing the bad options obviously leads to follower count increasing. The status Lara's had throughout the entire game now switches from negative ones to more positive ones. Reaching 1 million followers, we can now enter the secret room, now titled The Tilted Room, and inside we see the window, the chair, and the rubbish bag. This is the dark, grungy, tilted room, the one that Lara is trapped in, the one that Sophie, Plum, Ben all were transported to, and Mark is there as well. Now, investigating the rubbish bag and looking inside it, we see what looks like a face. We don't know whose face it is, it could be Plum, Sophie, Lara, we don't know. But we know there is a head in it. But now it returns us to the mansion, and entering the jet, we see a crashed plane and a shadowy figure in the distance. And now a man begins to cry in the background. Something about a plane crash happened in someone's life that we don't know about quite yet. Entering the library, it glitches and disappears, pulling us out, not allowing us to enter. And in the conservatory, there's a rather cute dog with flies flying about it. I'm joking, it's a black horse. And we hear Hate whispering about how we've always known him, and he has been waiting for us and we should embrace it. And now only Sophie's room is left. Entering it, we see what looks like a Silent Hill save room and Sophie wearing a mask, as if saying that Sophie was always wearing a mask, with Lara flashing on screen, interchanging with the Sophie we see on screen. Now this might be saying that the mask that this Sophie is wearing is Lara's mask, potentially saying that this Sophie has taken over Lara's body entirely, merging into one person, or potentially that Sophie herself was never a real person, just a cheap mask that someone wore for engagement online. It ends with Sophie saying that we will see her again, and that seemingly ends the chapter of the I Am Sophie ARG, with Lara being lost to Hate in the tilted room, and Sophie, an AI model machine thing, taking over Lara and becoming her. And I'm sure nothing strange will occur within the next few days. Now this is a bit out of order, I know that, but I wanted to tag this part on the end because this is clearly a different set of videos, as even the I Am Sophie channel has them labelled under a completely different part. everything I've been talking about was labelled under the pit. This is labelled under the I Am Sophie part. They're just normal vlogs now. And a new vlog was released on March 19th titled I'm Back, Let's Talk, in which Sophie just talks about what she wants from the channel and stuff. It mirrors Lara's first vlog. And yeah, that ain't Sophie. That is not the Sophie that we know. This is an entirely different person, but she is Sophie. And if my theory is correct, there is more than one Sophie. And I have a couple of theories for why we are seeing this now. Either this is hate using another girl to basically make Sophie vlogs to push its agenda further, or this is the real Sophie. Not the AI, not the model that was changed and made to Simon's liking. This is the original, and I mean original Sophie. A Sophie that died in an accident, in a plane crash, and that's why the memory keeps emerging in the fake Sophie's mind. It used her memories to create a person, but they tried to get rid of the plane crash, and potentially this is what happened to the real Sophie. She died in a plane crash years ago, and might explain why Simon wanted to have made a fake Sophie. Also, this Sophie also mentions a bad feeling that she has, which could indicate that she does die soon. Now, I think personally as well, the person that didn't want to go drinking with Simon was the real Sophie, which would explain why he made a fake Sophie so he could spend time with her. And it would explain why Simon wouldn't want Mark knowing about Sophie. Sophie stated that she knew Mark from school, but when Mark entered the house, he stated, I didn't think you knew me, which at the time you'd think, oh, it's like a thing of, I didn't know you noticed me in school. But if we look at it this way, this model of Sophie shouldn't know Mark. It should be a completely different person. It shouldn't have Sophie's memories, the Sophie that he knew in school. So why did Simon make this Sophie in general? He probably had feelings for the real Sophie, but like all good people, that's a joke, he made changes to her the way that he wanted. He changed her eye color, the way she looked, changed certain features about her. He took out all the parts he didn't like and put things that he did like back in. And when Simon received his order, he then sent the game to Lara, and Lara knew Sophie. And because of how immersive the experiences are, it took Lara's memories, and because Lara was potentially close to Sophie, their memories started to merge. That's why the plane crash imagery started to appear. Lara knows Sophie died in a plane crash, and now the AI knows that as well. As again, it is the most advanced model the company has ever made. But this Sophie we are seeing in front of us, I believe, is the original and real Sophie. Now this video, nothing really happens, but she does mention Ben as if he is still alive. And this is where another theory will now come in, which could reinforce that these videos take place far in the past. Someone commented in the video's comments, which I'll try to find again, that the makeup that this Sophie used are not that popular nowadays. They were more popular back in sort of 2016, 2017, 2015 times. And I'm obviously not an expert on makeup, but I thought that was an interesting sort of catch, that potentially the items she is showing off are not as popular nowadays, but were popular about 10 years ago now. That is fucking insane to say 2015 was 10 years ago, fuck me. But again, this could give us a hint to the time of when this video was taking place. Now, she also mentions a show called Is It Take? And this show was filmed in 2022. So again, the theory might be wrong about this taking place in the past, but I thought it was an interesting idea nonetheless. But don't worry, that's not all of it. On April 10th, we also got a new video titled Huge Shopping Trip, Try On Haul, in which you guessed it, Sophie tries on stuff, but again, it's an ARG, so it begins to glitch again, and the old I Am Sophie intro is in the intro, which is interesting, and that ain't creepy at all. And at 2:22, hate seems to re-emerge, with a bit of a speech which is also on the Twitter.
Careless, in vengeance, wrath, by envy, blindly driven for blood, taken for nothing the original mold, spilled from chalice to chalice, preferred to taste it by all, drink from me,
My God.
insides feel us merge, we are one. bound by hate, bound by fear, innocence shattered, purity stolen.
Tights and some boots if you can.
And she starts showing off some pink trousers, and we hear a certain song from a certain someone. Simon's song, which he was dancing to in his video. And this is the end of that video. This is where the ARG currently sits, to my knowledge. But for now, that brings us to the end of I Am Sophie at the time of recording on the 13th of April 2025. It's a fascinating story to me, one that speaks volumes about the darker sides of social media and the algorithms that power it themselves. It shows us how these systems don't just reflect our culture, they shape it as well. And sometimes they shape it into something very toxic. A culture of hate, a culture that encourages people to become the worst versions of themselves, from narcissistic influencers flaunting their lives they don't value enough, to the jealous viewers who tear them down only to mimic what they claim to hate, to pranksters chasing shock value and companies selling our privacy for profit, to people like Simon so desperate to be loved they lose themselves completely. This is what happens when hate breeds more hate. When one person's cruelty infects an entire family, an entire community, an entire system. Everyone becomes obsessed with their own desires, fame, money, pleasure, validation, but forgets what it means to simply be good to others. But here's the truth. None of us are entirely good or bad. We've all done things we regret. I've let hate drive me before, and I'm willing to bet you have too as well. It's never too late to take a better path. Being kind, being generous, being decent, it might not get you views or followers, but it leads to something real, genuine moments of happiness. Because when you help someone, truly help them, you're not just helping them, you're helping everyone. Even if they never thank you, never notice, or never repay you, the goodness that you do echoes. You'll see it in ways you don't expect. As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So if there's one thing I hope you take from all of this and the ARG I have tried my best to explain to you, be the light in a world that's too used to darkness. Be the person who chooses love even when it's hard. Because maybe, just maybe, if enough of us choose to make this choice, one day love will fill this world more than hate ever could. Right, so I may have lied. We aren't done quite just yet. I left this part out specifically because all of these videos I'm going to talk about now are members only videos, and they aren't really necessary to the actual understanding of the whole ARG, but let's go over them real quick because I'm sure some of you might comment about them. I'm going to refrain from actually showing them because again, you have to pay to access them, and I don't really want to kind of miff the creators out of what they've created here. Honestly, they are actually some of the best bits of the ARG, especially the tapes I'll talk about. They're really enjoyable, and I actually highly recommend going out and paying for it and listening to it yourself, because it's really good horror and just general world building as well. Anyway, let's get on to them. The first members only video is titled Welcome to my channel, my first live stream. And like the name says, it's a members only live stream. That's it. It is just Lara playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, interacting with her viewers. Now, some interesting points for this thing, which I'll highlight really quick, is that Lara talks about working for her dad again, but avoids talking about the specific dates, like years, for example, from any viewer questions, as she was actually interacting with a live chat. So, because she doesn't state what year it is, we can assume that if she's working for her father, it takes place in the pre-2020 part of the ARG when she still was working for her dad. Most interestingly, Lara receives a text from Simon, which is about her playing a game a few years ago that scared her so much she began to cry. And this confuses Lara because she doesn't remember playing such a game, and also it messes with the timeline completely because we don't actually know when this video takes place. If it takes place when she was working for her dad, she didn't play the game quite just yet because her dad let her go from the company when she was playing it. But now Lara also states that she would change fundamentally if she was rich and that she would sell her soul to be comfortable, obviously indicating to us that she very happily sold her soul to hate to get a life as a big influencer that she could live her life in luxury that she wanted. And again, but it's clear to me that this all takes place before everything. It takes place in pre-2020, and maybe the text from Simon was him trying to reach her in the future, indicating that he is actually still alive somehow. But it also could mean that Lara is trapped inside the algorithm and is living an endless dream of a simple influencer life that she was living before, when everything was simple, when she could go see her friend in Oxford, when her dad still let her work at the company. Everything was just easier and more simple. But that's really it for the live stream. So let's talk about what I have found way more interesting and way more fun, and I recommend you go watch the Max stream tapes. There are 4 tapes to be exact, and they follow the homeless guy that Max assaulted in his experience in being in the simulation that he was transported into. The first tape is the man recounting the attack and everything what happened, and how he now doesn't believe the reality he's seeing isn't real, and he explains that it all started glitching out, and when he would turn around, buildings would change or disappear, people would just despawn in front of him. Basically, the Matrix is glitching. The next tape recounts the homeless man meeting David, yes, that David, who also seems to have one of the devices in his body and basically guides him to a location because he shouldn't be hanging where he is. And then it ends with them being held up in a cabin, and he talks about if he can truly trust David and everything that you would normally question. The third tape has David lure the man into the mansion, yes, Sophie's mansion, in which he meets Hate, or the algorithm, and he now decides to run, believing that he is being fooled around and basically lured into a trap of something. We never find out because he runs away before we can figure that out, but he's now running away from the man in the suit who is now hunting him. And tape 4 is the final tape, and it explains how he was running away from the man in the suit, but he kept catching up to him because he kept respawning nearby him. But he also gives us his name, Blair Jensen, and it ends with him being held up in a toilet bathroom with a bar, and he says he's going to basically just fight to the death. He doesn't even get that chance. When Hate finds him, it just sounds like the entire bathroom blows up. But it is honestly great. I love these 4 tapes, and I actually think I would have preferred if the whole ARG was just this. They're really fun. I really do like audio tapes, and personally, I'm actually quite a big fan of audio dramas specifically. They're great. They're a great way to build up the world and explain everything that's happening, and give us a different perspective as well of just a normal person in everything. Blair Jensen, while yes, he was a part of the company, he was just an average guy that was just working for the company. He wasn't connected to Lara, Sophie, them characters. He was just disconnected, which I think is more enjoyable to see, and also it does give us a little bit more indication that characters like David, another character potentially that also sold his soul to the algorithm for something else, potentially maybe to get his daughter back. But also it does tell us that the mansion is very important, is probably going to be something that is focused on in the future, and also the story Odyssey, which David reads as well, which again, there's probably something in that story which we can extrapolate to the ARG. But that is it at the moment. For fuck's sake. So, as I was done with this video and I was editing it, another video released titled The Father, and man, this video adds so much fucking shit to the ARG. I don't want to change anything I've done previous to this video, because I still think it's a pretty good video and good analysis, but this completely changes a lot of stuff up, and kind of changes the idea of the ARG and where it's potentially heading. Basically, we meet Sophie's father, and he states he paid his price for his gift in full. Max said them exact same words when buying Twitter. So the father made a deal with the algorithm like Lara did to get his wealth, or his position in the company, or whatever else he got. But Lara is apparently messing everything up, and there is no way back to their old lives, directly stating to us that their old lives, what the Lara we're seeing on the Instagram, for example, is just a puppet of the algorithm. It is just not the real Lara. The Lara we see in the YouTube videos is that Lara that we saw in them old vlogs. But I'm guessing that the algorithm sold them this fake life where they could be whoever they wanted to be, and the algorithm would just take their bodies in the real world and would now use them to take over the world. So I'm guessing what happened was the father basically got this super rich everything, and he got a daughter called Sophie. But Lara was jealous of not having a father that loved her, and she potentially saw that Sophie in real life, the new one, the old one I guess, had a father that did care for her. So she was jealous of this, so she sold her soul and whatever to Hate, then Hate gave her Sophie's life. Obviously it's not the real Sophie, it's the fake Sophie, but you get the idea. She gets to have a father who loves her, a life that she feels like she belongs in and everything, but she's starting to feel extremely guilty and she doesn't want to continue doing what she's doing. But also, Simon is alive, and the father instructs Lara to find Simon and the final vlog disc and destroy it. The final vlog is vlog 12, the video after Pop Goes the Weasel, the one that is apparently even more gory than Pop Goes the Weasel. He also mentions that Max is hunting the people of Cryptic Industries and he's going to clear them out, telling us that he is going to destroy the entire company that made the fake simulation that they're probably living in. But again, Lara doesn't want to continue what she's doing. This angers the father so much, and he mirrors the words that Lara once stated about being seen by something, feeling like he belongs there. The father also was probably very lonely and hated the life he had, and hate and the algorithm gave him and showed him a life that he loved and he wanted. It made his dreams possible. But he states that if they push it away, they will be forgotten. And he states,
Hate. Love. Love. It's all the fucking same when you're found.
and also,
And clean Ben up, will you? He looks revolting.
and we see the Plague Doctor after he states this, so potentially it could mean that Ben is the Plague Doctor. But hate and love are the same thing, a very interesting statement, as the two are often viewed as complete separate things from each other. They are just unrelated, but they share strong similarities. As someone you love or hate, they get powerful unconscious emotions from you that you can't control, but they also use the same parts of the brain when generating them emotional responses. They are two sides of the same coin. Powerful emotions for other people, they are just complete opposites. What is most interesting about emotions, the people you love the most, the ones that you care for and you want to love the most, they can often cause you either the greatest happiness in life, they can also generate a pure hatred within you. When you are wronged by them, potentially betrayed by them. Lara potentially felt this way about the people she loved in her life. She felt like she was betrayed by her dad for her being let go from the company, selling the car, and not being there for her, and her friends also seemed to not make a big effort to come see her. She felt that love that she felt for everyone get turned into hate. While it's easy to say about things like this in life, to just turn the other cheek and just sort of roll with the punches, humans are stubborn and we face things head on. Sometimes we lose control of our own emotions and we end up doing things we immediately regret. And I believe Lara did something that she immediately regretted straight away. And I know that pain all too well, doing things you completely regret in the moment. The story seems to be heading now in the direction of the father beginning a chain of hate, selling his soul or his being to the algorithm to obtain his wealth, and this chain has led many people down this same path. And Lara is just the latest person in this line of people selling their souls to the algorithm. But this is very clearly just the beginning of the next chapter for the ARG. It still has a lot of cards in its hand and a lot of unanswered questions, but it has definitely caught my attention and I'll be paying very close attention to the ARG in the upcoming months. But anyway, that is definitely the last part for this video. So ends this part of the I Am Sophie ARG. Hey lads and lasses, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, comment, whatever. Any support is greatly appreciated, and thank you to the channel members Marty Morris and Chelsea and Tyler. The support is genuinely greatly appreciated so much. And also shout out to all the other people that made the document, for example, and also Jamie on YouTube for all the links and all the resources that I was able to actually access and use to make this video. So shout out to them, they're the real MVPs. But yeah, if you can't tell by the sound that you're probably hearing from the fucking echo, I have now finally moved where we were moving to, and I've now got my office set up, I guess. I do hope to make the actual room sound a bit better, but I was very desperate to get back into recording again, so I kind of sort of went for it before I properly got it set up. So I hope it's not too bad for this video, and hopefully it will get better in the coming weeks and months. But with that, I kind of want to try, not pivot or change completely from horror, but I would like to get into doing more stuff in general. Either just other games that aren't horror, for example, or maybe movies, TV shows, creepypastas, other ARGs that are horror or not horror, I don't mind. I just want to know what you guys personally would like to see. I know a lot of you guys do enjoy my horror stuff, and some of you also enjoyed the Walking Dead stuff, which I promise I will finish that series of videos eventually when I get back around to doing it and getting into the games again. But I just would like to know from you guys in general, any games, any films, TV shows, manga, anime, anything. I'll talk about genuinely anything, because if I get passionate about it, I can turn it into a video. But again, thank you guys so much for the support recently. It's been a blessing, genuinely. And it's coming up my 1 year anniversary for my channel as well, which is in July. I do have a video planned for that. That is more of a personal video. So if that comes out and it seems a bit different, you gotta get why. It's definitely more personal, and it's sort of the story of sort of the year before I started YouTube and everything in there, and kind of how I got inspired to really start and change my life around after some not so good stuff happened. But enough of a downer. Genuinely, thank everyone for watching. If you got to this far, you should subscribe, because again. But yeah, that's enough waffling from me, and enough of me taking up your time. Thank you for watching. See you around. Crocodile.